entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Well, it's going to be an interesting follow-up show to the Tomi Lahren show. That's one for the history books. Today we're going to do Red Pill Roundup. I'm talking about some stories I'm looking at right now. I don't do these very often. I might get to these once every 6 weeks. Maybe read some emails. I will take all questions. This is going to be your show. You guys get to decide what we talk about today. Coming up. Thank you very much. Oh, wait, here we go. Can we do the dog cam too? I think we could do the dog cam. She's not very exciting today. That's Bambi. Thank you, Bambi. Thank you for joining me today. She's tuckered out. She's tired, man. It's been hot these days. It has been really hot here in Reno. Something like, what we got, I think we're at 96 degrees right now. And yesterday we had to have been about 101, which is like pretty hot for this area. I live in the desert, man. I live in the scrub lands. It's high desert, I guess, is what they would call it. There's a lot of sage where I live. Hi, Sammy. I see you. Sam Bada in the house. He is my moderator today. What'd you guys think of that last show? What did you guys think of the... Should I put this on? Yeah, I guess I can put this on. What did you think of the Tomi Lahren show, man? The response to that, man, that happened. That was what, here's your vocabulary word. We're already like not even like, what, 2 minutes into the show, and I'm going to give you a vocabulary word. That was serendipitous. Serendipity. It happened. It must have happened for a reason. It just kind of fell in my lap at the right time, and I watched it. Thank you. I have no idea who sent me that, to be honest with you, but whoever emailed me that or sent me the Tomi Lahren video, the PSA to all of the boyish men. You know what's funny is remember when Hillary Clinton called all of Trump supporters like deplorables. Now we can use boyish men, or we say we're boyish men to confront Tomi Lahren, or maybe we're the non-boyish men. I don't know. But I thought that was interesting. I got a lot of feedback, and not just from like my regular sources, but like people who I know in like real life giving me feedback on that one. And that was you either loved that episode or you hated it. And if you loved it, you probably loved it because you are a regular follower of this channel. We'll talk, if you want to talk about Tomi a little bit, we can. I thought what was interesting is when something like that comes out, you kind of know people are going to be jumping on it. It was kind of like the Will Smith thing. Oh, by the way, when you hear that, that's my email. That's my little email alert that I get occasionally. I'm going to have my email software up today because I'm going to read. Actually, I think I'll turn it off for right now, but I'm going to read some of the emails that I've gotten over the course of most of the summer, really, as far back as June, I think. I'm getting to those because I'm making kind of a shift here. I'm making a change here at the Rational Male. As I have been saying really since late July, I'm going to be moving the Wednesday show over to Patreon. If I can do it this Wednesday, I will let you know. If it is, I might. So you've got to be a Patreon subscriber. And the Patreon link is I think it's the third link in the description that you see below. So if you want to become one, that's fine. The lowest tier is $5. Actually, excuse me. It's the only tier right now. I'm going to have more. because I'm going to be offering a little bit more. I need to sort of protect what I have right now. So that's the main reason I'm doing this. The next thing I'm doing also is I'm going to be starting as of this week. Next time you go, if you've joined Patreon, the next time you look at it, there's going to be some changes. I'm changing the masthead. I'm doing some other things. I'm also working on the my blog, The Rational Male. I'm going to be doing an update to that. I have not freshened up the look of that for quite some time, so I'm going to be working on that a little bit this week. I had a lot of work ahead of me this week for what it is that I do. I want to change that up a little bit more. You know what? Hang on one second. I think people are going to complain if I don't take off the audio processing here. Hang on. There we go. Much better, because I'm probably going to play some clips today. I was another thing about the Tomi Lahren thing. I didn't realize that she was echoing. You guys should have told me she was echoing. I didn't get that. But that's because StreamYard has audio processing that I usually leave on so you guys can hear the theme music. Another thing StreamYard is now offering is 1080p, though you're not looking at it right now for whatever reason. I was streaming in it yesterday during Rule 0, and now it's disappeared again. So I don't know if I need to update something or I need to do something different, but I'll be streaming in 1080p, which means it'll be high def. You get to see my smiling mug, and I don't think it's 4K quite, but it's going to be a little bit better quality coming up. So other changes. So I kind of need to do a little housekeeping here at the beginning, because usually this is when people tune in the most. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm also going to be adding a higher tier to my Patreon, because I am going to be offering a bi-weekly, meaning like every other week, for about I'm just going to say right now roughly like an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's going to be for I don't want to call it an elite membership, but it's going to be a private membership. It's going to be for I guess premium users. I'm struggling for words here because I don't know exactly what to call it on Patreon, but it's going, the tier level will be at $150. And I'm doing that because I'm going to be offering counseling, sort of group counseling sessions, if you are comfortable with that. I have so many people in my inbox right now asking me, are you doing counseling? Are you doing counseling? Especially after I did the one, I think it was last Sunday, when I was talking about how do you get over her. And I was discussing suicide, and I was discussing being zeroed out. And I have a lot of guys who will email me and say, hey, I've got this problem, I've got that problem. And many of them are very similar. So I thought, maybe we just do a private thing. So I'm going to limit that. The membership's going to be limited. I don't know what the limitations are going to be just yet. I'm thinking I might start at 100 guys. Does that sound right? I think about 100. I'm going to limit it to 100 guys. It will be a Zoom membership. So what I will do is, if you are a Patreon member, you're at that level, I'll collect your email. I will give you the Zoom link when we do it. And you can come in and you can discuss what's going on with you. And I will give you my interpretations, let's say. I don't like to call myself a coach. I don't call myself a counselor, really. I do private counseling, I guess, because for lack of a better term. But really what I do is I'm not a clinical psychologist. I will give you my assessment, my honest assessment of what I think is going on with your situation. So if that's something you guys are interested in, I'm going to be offering that on Patreon this week, and probably get to counseling sessions as of first thing next week. I don't know what day just yet. I want it to be a day and a time. It'll be Eastern Standard Time for sure, but I want it to be a day and a time that you guys is at least somewhat convenient for you, enough to want to be a part of that. Also, you don't necessarily have to be in every single one. Most likely, if you participate in that sort of private counseling thing that I'm doing, it will be you'll probably hear questions. You'll probably, like today, that's one of the reasons I'm doing this today, is you will probably hear emails, questions, topics, things like that you've already asked me in email, or you probably are going through a situation that's very similar to some other guys. That's one of the great things I think about the manosphere and sort of how we've come to where we are right now, is we compare notes. And that's how I ran things. That's how I work things out, really, when I was on So Suave. And again, even as far back as the mid 2000s, when I was a moderator on So Suave, I'm still dealing with the same questions. So if that's something you want, I'm still offering private counseling. You can still do that, but consider doing like the group thing first, because it'll be a whole lot more economical for you too. So rather than like paying me, whatever, like usually I just sort of do when I do counseling, I'm usually doing something like I have a minimum, but it's not like it's not all that much. I usually do kind of like pay what you thought it was worth to you. And the reason I've always done it that way, excuse me, is because I want to be able to help like guys who are like, 16 years old who have a problem, right? And they can't afford like $100 or $150 or whatever it is, or like $200 or whatever. Like another guy who's like, say he's 45, he gets zeroed out. He's going to kick down like $300, $400, right? Great. That's cool. But what you're doing is you're kind of paying it forward for the next guy who can only like, roll all like us $25. Is that cool? Yeah, it's cool. So that's like personal, like one-on-one, me calling you or talking to you on Skype or whatever it is. That I'll still offer that, but I can't really pick that up until I'm done with book 4. So in the meantime, I'm sort of testing this idea of having a private community of guys where we're just sort of like hashing things out. And I don't know how long I'll do it for. We'll see how it works. I'm going to leave it up. You come and you go. That's all it really matters. And so I think, $150 is not a month is for that amount of time is a pretty good deal. And you're probably going to get something more out of it, because there's probably, in all likelihood, there's a guy that'll be in that discussion group that will be, going through something similar to what you are. So keep that in mind. That's item number 1 that'll be coming up this week. Also, item 2, make sure that you are a Patreon subscriber so that you'll be able to get the Wednesday show. That's just going to be at the minimum level of commitment, which is like $5 right now. So I don't think it's all that bad. The only reason I'm doing it again is I'm moving some of the shows that I did with Pat Campbell over to Patreon because I don't want to lose those. On the off chance that I get deplatformed from certain places. I'm also looking into doing a Discord server. I had for a long time wanted to do a forum of my own, but I think forums are, the time of forums has kind of come and gone. So I'm probably going to do a Discord server. So look for that. If you are a Patreon subscriber, then you'll be able to, of course, that's where I'll announce it anyways. Rational Male, still up, still free. I'm down to 1 post a month right now because of the book, but as soon as the book is out and live, I'll be going back to at least twice a month and probably more than that. All of my writing time and all of my editing time goes into the book right now. And that's another announcement I need to make just real quickly here, is that book 4 is just about done. So I am feverishly going back through the last edits. I wanted this to be as bulletproof a book as I possibly can. The reason why this is taking so goddamn long is because this is, I would say about 85% of this is original, all new material you're not going to find on the Rational Male. Some of it is, right? Some of it you'll if you're familiar with my work, if you've read my stuff on the Rational Male, and there's like coming up on 9 years of the Rational Male, you'll probably be familiar with some of it, but I have pretty much gone to scratch and written it from the ground up. So this isn't just a collection of just essays and stuff that I've put together and then rewritten into book format. This is all original new material. That's why this is like a real this is a real project. So I think you guys will appreciate that too. I'm citing, I have all sources cited. I've got to have a bibliography in it. I've got to have like all a credit, sources cited anyways, let's just say. I'm trying to be a little bit more meticulous with this one. So that's an update on the book right now. And then last but not least, I have to tell you guys that we are going to be moving the Rule Zero Live event that we were going to do in Las Vegas, and we're going to turn it into a digital conference. It's going to be an online conference. If you purchase tickets from me through my Patreon, we were only selling to our private communities. I did that through Patreon. So the only way you could have gotten the ticket or a registration through me was via Patreon. So what I'm going to be doing is sending out a gang email to the 20 ticket holders that I still have right now and informing you, letting you know what the details of that are. So I announced this a little bit yesterday on Rule Zero. I felt like I needed to sort of clarify it to my audience right now. And I know that Rich and everybody else is sort of doing the same thing. When we started this, I'm just going to give you a real quick background. When we started this back in February, it was Rich and I, and Rich said, "Hey, I'm going to Vegas. Do you want to come down and hang out? I'm going there with some of the guys from my private community or something like that." And I'm like, "Heck yeah, I'll do it. Like, yeah, let's go." And so then it was going to be April, and then the other guys sort of caught wind of it. And now we turned it into sort of this mini event. And that's when we said, okay, let's get in. We're going to go through Peerspace. We're going to find some good. I already have contacts in Las Vegas through my real day job. So I was like, okay, let's go down there and let's see what we can work out. It was only going to be a 1-day event. We had a little bit of extra time while we were down there. We wanted it to be fun. It was Vegas. Remember, this is February of 2020. So we're planning this out, and we had everything set. We're like, okay, we're going to limit it only to like 100 guys, and we're going to sell it through our private communities. Everybody gets 20 tickets. That was it. And that was all we were going to do. And then that's when COVID hit. And we had to postpone. We had to push things back. We're like, okay, let's do it in October. People have time then. The summer will be kind of winding down. We'll be able to find out what's going on with the whole COVID situation. And turns out we get to July, and now Jonathan, of course, John from Modern Life Dating, lives in Japan, as you know. Rich and Ryan both live in Canada, and Troy lives in the UK. I am the only person of Rule Zero that is actually a resident U.S. citizen. So I was actually down there in Vegas about 2-3 weeks ago. And I was scouting out for sites. I really wanted to get someplace where we could all be centrally located, where we could all hang out. We'd all have a good time. We weren't too far from the strip. We had pool access because I wanted to rent an area for the pool so we could do some video. We're planning, extracurricular side things. And now it looks as if Japan is not going to allow John back into the country. It'll allow Troy, UK will allow Troy back in the country, but after 2 weeks of quarantine, pretty much the same thing for Canada. And now we'd already taken on extra guys because we wanted to expand it to make it a bigger and better convention, a bigger one. And so now we've got 10 guys, and we're just kind of like, what are we going to do? Because Electric Daisy Carnival had been canceled. E3, which is the Consumer Electronics Convention, is like one of the biggest conventions in Vegas, is canceled. When we're looking at the last article I read, Las Vegas tourism has lost $71 billion as a result of this. And then the last thing I saw was that some of the bigger name casinos, and there were, like, when I went down there in like 3 weeks ago, it was a ghost town, and some of the biggest casinos I have ever. It was amazing. I could not believe there were so few people at these places. And what the big casinos are doing right now is they're quarantining their own employees in like the Rio, I think. And so like the Bellagio employees, instead of going home, they send them to the Rio. So they're quarantined there, and they won't go home and catch COVID or whatever it is. And yeah, whatever your opinion of COVID is, I'm not going to hash that out right now. One thing it's doing is it's really killing the economy here in Nevada, and in Reno as well, Reno and Nevada. And for a long time, those casinos were shut down. That was one of the reasons why we postponed it for the beginning. So here's the deal. We've decided that we're going to move it over to a digital conference. John is working that out. If you are a ticket holder right now, if you're one of my ticket holders right now, you are entitled to do this for free, or that's going to be your ticket right there. If that's not cool with you, then you are entitled to a refund, and I'll be happy to give you a refund. I've given 4 already since like back in March, when people said, hey, I can't make it out there because of COVID. And that's another thing, is we're going to require travel. It's going to require hotel. It's going to require a lot of other things that go along with this. So rather than do that, I can either give you a refund for what you paid, or you can hang on to it and go to the digital conference, which will be all 10 of the extended speakers We will be doing this again on the 2nd through the 3rd, 2nd and 3rd of October. So it's the same dates. And we're going to be adding a little bit more to it. We're going to have breakout rooms, so you have access to each of the speakers sort of individually, kind of like little workshop type things. So there's going to be a lot that's added to it. We're still kind of working out the details for this. Now, last but not least, let me also tell you guys this. If you have a registration right now, we are still planning to do a live event in Vegas once all this crap sort of settles out. So we're still planning on doing one in spring of 2021 in Vegas, where we can still do what we originally wanted to do. And we have every intent of doing it as soon as things look like we can actually go and hold a live event in Las Vegas, which is the premier event center of the world, really. So there you have it. Also, if you are a current ticket holder of mine right now, I can't speak for the other guys. I'm just talking to the guys, the 20 guys who still hold tickets for me right now, is if you hold those tickets at this stage, I will give you a discount on that upcoming live one in Vegas, which we will do like probably in spring or like late spring, I would say would be like more like I would say April or May if I had to guess. So if you are a ticket holder now and you go and you're still entitled to go to the digital event, the online event, and after that is all, once you're done with that, hit me up afterward and say, hey, Rollo, I have your email, I have your names, I know probably most of it. It's only 20 guys, so hit me up. I will give you some kind of discount on it. I don't know what, at least 20%. Let's just say I'll give you at least a 20% discount if you were part of this whole thing and sticking with it the whole time. If you want a full refund, let me know. I'm good with that too. So, all right, that said, let's get on to some of these questions here today. Oops, not that one. There it is. Just into, excuse me, this is Pisco. Just got into a relationship with a 21-year-old. I'm 18. Really? Well done. I've started it with a strong frame and have the power. Okay. I'm worried that I'm falling in love and she'll get comfortable. What do I do? Okay, well, here, I'll tell you what's funny is at 18, you're probably as idealistic as you will ever be as a guy. Most guys, the time for guys to be really super idealistic is right around late teens, I'd say, in through maybe their mid-20s. If it lasts really, if your idea, like sort of this like Pollyanna naive idealism lasts longer than that, it's probably because you've made a living at it. However, it's easy for guys to think, well, I'm 18 and she's the one, right? She's 21. She's really into me. I've got the power. I'm catching feelings for her is probably what you're thinking at this point. So the first thing I would say is, why are you catching feelings for her? What is it about this whole situation? Like, do you think you're never going to find anybody better than this? A lot of guys get into that mindset, particularly when you're 18. You are entering what I've called the break phase. And if you read Positive Masculinity, or Preventive Medicine, which is my second book, on the timeline there, I actually sort of detail this actually quite a bit. The break phase is when you are, say, about 17 till about maybe 19 or 20. And this goes for women as well, or girls, women, young women anyways. And usually the break phase is like this. You have what I call an adolescent social skill set. And you've probably developed that over the course of, say, like the time you were like maybe 14 or 15 up to where you're at right now. You're 18. So you're only looking at like 3 or 4 years usually. And that works for you in the context of being a teenager. And it works for you in context of like high school, or what's, dealing with high school aged peers who also have adolescent social skill sets. Boys, young boys, teenage girls do not fully develop a capacity for abstract thinking until they get to be about 21 or 22. There are reasons why we say, okay, you can vote at 18. You can drive at 16. You can do these things at this particular age. We have age limits for certain things. You can only drink in the United States anyways when you're 21 years old. In other countries, it's different because they have different opinions of like how mature a person should be at different ages. So when we look at how young men and young women think during their teenage years, and how they look at the world and how they think and how they plan their lives out after those teenage years is sort of a post-adolescent. It should be. You should mature out of your adolescent social skill set. That's not to say that people don't get retarded in that. And I don't mean that in the term like, oh, you're retarded. I mean that in the clinical sense. Your maturation becomes retarded. So that's the true use of that term, really, is to you were supposed to develop past something, and something is holding you back from that. So what I tell guys when they tell me, hey, Rollo, I'm 19, I'm thinking about getting married. To me, I'm like, what are you, nuts? Right? Not because of marriage in general. Like MGTOWs will say, well, you just never want to get married. Yeah, okay, there is that. But even if you were going to, even if you're religious or whatever, you have some convictions about premarital sex, or you can only have sex after marriage or whatever, I would still say this is one reason why I say premarital sex is sort of untenable right now. But I would say that because statistically, couples that get together when they're 19, 18, 20, 21, even up to 22, as early as 22, such as it is, the statistics for divorce for couples who got together early is like through the roof. So like the earlier you get married, the more likely you are probably going to get divorced. And usually that's because you're somebody different when you're 19 than you would be when you're, say, 29. That's a 10-year difference. And the reason why I think that is, and this is just me talking, is that I think that when you're 18, 19 years old, you're still sort of transitioning out of the break phase, but you're also still dealing with the world and women and yourself and your understanding of women's nature, your understanding of like your relation to women, whatever it is, using an adolescent social skill set. So Pisco, if you are 18 years old and you're with a 21-year-old girl, I would wonder what's going on with that 21-year-old girl to be with you in the first place. Because for the most part, when women get to that stage of 21, 22 years old, she can go out clubbing with the girls. She can go out drinking. She can go out doing whatever the hell she wants to do. And you cannot, because you are underage, unless you get a fake ID, or wherever country you're in. Maybe you can. I don't know. But regardless, by and large, women look for guys who are older than they are. Anywhere between, statistically, it's between 3 to 7 years older than they are. And that 3 years is contingent upon how old that woman is. On average, if you take the average from like say 18 up to about 40 years old, women prefer men, or prefer to a long-term relationship, let's say, with a man who is between 5 to 7 years older than they are. There's a reason for that. If you'd like to know about that, I'll be happy to tell you, but that's kind of like off topic. So I'm going to just sort of go forward here because I'm getting a lot of other ones. But what I would say is this: you're 18. You should not be in a relationship at 18. The break phase is, and this is to any teenage guy that's listening right now. Break phase, like I said, is from like 17 to about 19, maybe 20 years old. And the reason I call it the break phase is because usually that's the time at which a guy has got involved with a girl, and she's off to college and he's off to college, and they try to make it work. They try to have a long distance relationship. I don't think I've ever talked about long distance, LDRs, right? Long distance relationships on this show. I have written quite a bit about it, but LDRs, long distance relationships, do not meet the criteria for an actual relationship. And I would say that even particularly in 2020, in the age of social media, maintaining a long distance relationship, you would think it would be easier. I would say it's probably harder, because harder for guys anyways, because women have access to a global sexual marketplace. So even when they get to be like, say, 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're off to college, and you should be off to doing whatever it is you're doing. If you don't believe in college, that's fine, but you should have some sort of plan and some direction that you want to go. You should have some purpose, should have some passion, should have some ambition. And more often than not, that doesn't coincide with what that woman is doing, because by and large, women are going to college more than men are, more than young men are. Statistics for enrollment for women is something like 65% right now, or it might even be more than that. Then again, those are U.S. statistics. I don't know what it is in your country. But that's the break phase. And that's usually when you try to maintain this really kind of silly long distance relationship, and she's there and you're here, and she says, oh, I'm sorry, things just aren't working out. There's no future with us, blah, 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 because she's out partying with her friends. And in the age of social media, that can be really frustrating for a guy who's idealistic and using an adolescent social skill set, and then sees his high school sweetheart surrounded by hot guys in a foam cannon party somewhere. So that's why I call that the break phase, because usually that's when guys sort of have it like spelled out for them. I know it happened to me. It's happened to a lot of my friends. It's happened to a lot of the teenage guys that I used to counsel back on So Suave for a very long time. So it's a predictive framework, let's say. That's really what preventive medicine is. It's a predictive framework. And the reason why they get into those things is because they become very idealistic. And they would, I think at no other time in a guy's life than in his late teens, maybe early 20s, is a guy more likely to want to commit to things that will ruin his life because he thinks he's going to be the exception, or he met the one, or she's special. And he has no experience to know any of this. All he has is just sort of, like I said, the kind of naive ideals that have been fed to him by a blue pill conditioned like popular culture to think that, oh, I found a really special girl and she loves me and I love her and we're going to have kids and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I say that is the very rarest example. So it's not that I don't know couples who married very young, but they live a different life and a different lifestyle, and maybe it wasn't one of their choosing. Most of the time when a young couple get together and they get married, it's because the guy knocked her up. He had to do the right thing. So anyways, advice to you, Pisco, don't get married. Don't fall in love with her. Spin more plates. You're 18. When you get to be 24, you'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you listened to Uncle Rollo, okay? So you say, "Oh, I'm falling in love." Well, you're 18, dude. You fall in love with anybody. You'll fall in love with the first girl who spread her legs for you. So keep that in mind. Stay single. Stay non-exclusive. Let's say spin plates until you be about 30 years old. Focus on your mission. Focus on your passions, because the more you focus on her, the less you will become less, so she can become more. Put it that way. All right, there's your advice. What else do I have here? Oh my goodness. Look at all these. Just look at all these. My goodness. Let's see. I know I passed up a few of these. Thanks for following along there. Sam is in the house. He is recording these for you. Matthew Magda says, what's the evolutionary justification for why men almost universally seek out a woman who can cook? Right? Who can cook. All right. Bulletproof coffee. So here's what you want the Rollo answer. Here's the Rollo answer. The Rollo answer is this: is that you said evolutionary, so I'm going to give you the $5 answer here. Thank you, Matthew Magda. Why do we want women who can cook? Well, that's kind of, I would say this. I would say that kind of goes back to women and nurturement. So women are the most vulnerable sex. They're the weaker sex. They are the most vulnerable sex. And women hate to hear that. Oh, what are you calling me weak? Well, if you don't like the word weak, ladies, let's call you vulnerable. Because from an evolutionary perspective, you are the most vulnerable of the two sexes and the two genders that are on planet Earth right now. And as a result, women had to find some way to add value to themselves beyond just their reproductive value. So back in our hunter-gatherer days, the women were the gatherers, the men were the hunters. So women would stay and, watch over the campfires and watch the babies and nurture the babies and have this. You want to know why women are more collectivist than men? That's why, because they were the ones who had to rely on one another for their own protection, for their own nurturement, for their own survival, while the men folk were off, bringing caribou back, right? So there is that aspect. I would say that's probably, if you really want to rewind the tape all the way down to, like sub-Saharan African, savannas back in our prehistoric past, a woman who could actually do something or nurture men and show appreciation in some way, have some extra value added beyond just spread my legs, put a baby in me, and I'll take care of it kind of thing. That was probably part of it. Now, of course, later, I think the whole cooking thing is not so much a evolutionary selectivity as it is. Well, I like adaptive behavior for women. Let's just say that. I don't think it's so much that as it is when women still had to add value, even post-agrarian societies. So a woman who could cook, who could bake, who could do other things, she could sew, she could do this, she could clean, she could take care of everything while you are out there. What that is it's an aspect of value added. So if a woman could cook, if your mom can cook, you want her to teach your wife how to cook, you want her to teach your daughter how to cook, because that's something that is beyond the reproductive value. Guys are always going to want to have sex with a woman. Guys are always going to want to solve their reproductive problem. Women today have commodified that so that their only value to most men, to actually most women, to themselves, even to women's selves, is their reproductive value. I look sexy on OnlyFans. Guys send me money. That's really what that is. Oh, well, what else is there? Well, like we were talking about yesterday on Rule Zero about incels, there is the connection. There's the nurturement. You know, the incels who are paying like top dollar for OnlyFans girls, it's not so much about the sex. And I've talked about this with Tristan Tate and Andrew Tate and their cam businesses and everything. If you go and you look at what's going on OnlyFans, if you look at what happens on Twitch girls, what did she call it? Tommy Lahren, you're Tatiana, right? Well, it's not that those girls are just, showing off their butts. Great. Their big boobs, nice butt. Yeah. Okay. I'll pay attention for a minute. But what else is there? There's got to be a value added. Most women don't understand the concept of value added. If they do, it's usually because it's sort of thrust upon them. Like they're like, oh, these guys don't really want to have sex with me. They'll pay me $39 for a jar of pee. They'll pay me $30 for a bottle of my bath water. But what they really want is some sort of connection. They want to feel this kind of like they have a girlfriend, even if it's virtual. If you look at the guys, I've discussed this with a lot of incels and sort of a different variety, let's say, of MGTOWs, when you look at women, when they get married and they marry themselves, they want to just get married, right? They want to get married to a bridge or a dog or a chandelier or whatever, right? They want to get married because they want to go through that experience because they want to have that, or they marry themselves. Right, that's that. You want to know why? Whenever we talk about female solipsism, that's one of the examples I use. Is women will love to marry themselves. For men, they don't marry. You don't see too many guys marrying themselves. In fact, I don't think I can think of any guy, like any desperate dude, who would marry himself. And if there is, he doesn't make the news, because we live in a gynocentric social order. And when a woman decides that she's going to marry herself, or a bridge, or a dog, or a chandelier, I don't know, that makes the 6 o'clock news, because that's supposed to be some message of empowerment for women. I don't need a man. I'm going to marry a chandelier. Great, cool, good. Or I married a ghost. I forget who was saying that she married a ghost of a pirate. Where is this coming from? Now, so there's that house. Like when women are talking about like getting married, it's like this, it's to like inanimate objects. That's a statement of power. For a guy to do that, it's a statement of being a desperate loser. No guy is going to do that. But if you go and you look at a movie, like, have you seen that movie called Her? And I forget, it has Joaquin Phoenix in it, right? And he falls in love with an AI, which I think is was it Scarlett Johansson is the voice on that. It's creepy as hell. But if you watch that movie, it doesn't work if it's a woman that falls in love with the male voice. Like if you swap the genders, it doesn't play, because no woman is going to have that kind of relationship with an AI. She has to have some sort of empowerment. She doesn't need no man. She's strong and independent. Men are always seen as dependent. So if you watch that, it's his dependency on it. He wants that connection. It's not a sex. He can't have sex with the voice on the thing. I mean, maybe he could talk sexy or whatever, but he can't actually have sex with that girl. And it doesn't matter, because for most guys, when they marry their waifus or their dolls, or they have some other sort of substitute, it's not about the sex. And the same thing with like OnlyFans, same thing with cam girls and stuff like that. It's not about the sex. Being an incel is not about the sex. It's about the desire. It's about the connection. And so why do those guys, and this is a very long drawn out answer for you as to why cooking is such a big thing. Cooking is a form of love. It's showing love. It's showing a concern for your survival. It's showing, here's some food, stay alive. I've used, I don't know if I've ever said this before on any of my shows, but I think I've talked about this maybe with Rich or somebody else when we're talking about, how do you vet for a woman, or how do you know a girl has like genuine desire for you? Is she cooking for you? Does she do it because she wants to do that? The other part what I was going to say is this, is if you've ever been with a woman who just wants to feed you, like she's got one at a time kind of food, like, I don't know, chicken nuggets or something like it. And you're driving. My wife does this like without even thinking. I'm like, baby, I can feed myself. It's cool. I don't say that, but I just let her do it. But I sort of picked up on this is like when she's got something and I'm doing something, or if she's like, here, try this, or if we're driving, she'll like pop, a chicken nugget in my mouth or whatever it is. If a woman, if her instinct is to feed you, I think that behavior says something. That's an evolutionary kind of thing. It's like, if you watch primates, they'll do the same thing. They'll, here you go. Like there's almost like a deference there. Really what it says, I think on a root level is that I'm concerned about your survival. I'm concerned about you staying alive. Here, drink this water bottle. Here, have this chicken nugget. Here, it sounds kind of stupid, but think about the latent purpose of that act. If your wife or your girlfriend or the girls that if they're not doing that, I mean, what does that say? What does that say about them? So that's, I think really what that is I think for most women, like when you talk about the maternal instinct, I think the maternal instinct can extend to the guy. If the guy's alpha, if the woman is dependent on that guy, or even perceptually believes that she is in some way dependent on that guy for her own survival, it's not just about the sex, right? It's about the connection. It's about the genuine desire. It's about a constant upkeep of appreciation. Yes. But I think it's more of an appreciation in the fact that I want to keep you going kind of thing. Remember, women's concept of love is based on opportunism. And that opportunism ceases if the guy dies. Like opportunism ceases if she doesn't have some sort of extra benefit beyond just having sex with the guy, to sort of keep the kids alive, keep the house going, keep the home fires going, that kind of stuff. So that's really value added. And I think the cooking part of that really goes back to sort of the nurture, almost maternal instinct that most women have, but it's conditioned out of those women to believe that they should be doing that. Because the prime directive of feminism is never do anything for the express pleasure of a man. And if you are, you're a failure as a strong, independent woman. That is the prime directive of feminism. That's how feminism's point, the purpose of feminism is female supremacy. Female supremacism is what feminism is all about. So how do you affect that? Well, you teach generation after generation of women to do nothing for guys. And really you won't hear this from most feminist ideology because I think it's sort of baked into it. But I think feminist ideology realizes that women are only ever going to need to do anything or have value added, right? Beyond the sexual, for men who are worth sustaining, worth keeping around, worth, they're dependent in different ways. Like guys keep saying, well, we live in an age where women don't need beta bucks anymore. So it's all about alpha seed. It's all about Giga Chad, right? It's all about that guy. She just wants to get, pounded by the biggest, baddest dude that she can get with. That only lasts for so long because women's sexual market value is perishable. So what happens when it starts to perish, right? What happens when it starts to decay? Well, that's when women start to learn value added, or they believe, erroneously, most of the time, they believe that they already have it. Well, I'm a strong, independent woman. That's exactly what I was talking about with Tomi Lahren. Tomi Lahren's like, I have this going for me. My girlfriends are hot. Some of them have different body types. Some of them have different, some of them are white and some of them are dark and some of them are this and some of them are fat and some of them are all, it's just running down all these ways of having sort of this subjective idea of what should be valuable to guys. But the reason for that is because she knows at 28 years old, she'll be 28. I screwed up, guys. My bad. She's not 27. She'll be 28 on August 11th, according to the wiki, whatever. So she's just about in the epiphany phase right now. So at that time, when women start seeing their sexual market value decaying, whether it's actual makes no difference. It's up here. Remember, the wall starts here. It doesn't start here. It starts here. So at that point, that's when women start saying, but I can cook, but I have my own business. I'm adventurous. I have I've got my career. Why don't guys just why don't worthy alpha males throw themselves at my feet? That's what it comes down to. So long story short, the closer a woman gets to the epiphany phase, the more she believes that she has value added. And so what does she rely on? How does she sell her value added? What does she start to think of? What are the rationalizations that women use when they need to sell men on the idea that they actually have value added? You know what they do? They say, well, I'm an older woman. How come all these men are so infantile and they're scared of they're threatened by a strong, independent woman? You only hear that from women who are in the epiphany phase or who are post epiphany phase. So when they're 32 years old, they're going, how come guys are all, the guys my age all want to get with like 22-year-olds? Because they can. But what do women do at that point? They say, well, I'm a worldly woman of the world and I have this going for me and I have my own business and I can do these things. And you don't want a girl you can't talk to. You want a girl who, and then of course, then comes the shame. You want a girl you can relate with like you. That's it. Right. So what Tommy was doing and what most women do when they get into that situation, when they realize that the competition anxiety is too much, they try to convince you to choose them according to their own terms. And so what are those terms? How do they change their terms? They change the terms by saying, I have value added. I can cook. Who cares? I'm 36. I've been through the ringer. I've seen all this stuff happen. I'm going to go for the girl who's 26, not 32, not 34. Why would I do that? You've got 3 kids from 2 different fathers. Why would I bother? Think about that. Hey, ladies, if you're watching this, think about that. The time to start selling yourself with value added isn't 32 or 34. It's 24, 26, somewhere around there, maybe. That's when you need to be concerned with it. But right now, women aren't. Average age of first marriage, 28.7 for women in the United States, 29.8 for men. It's almost 30 years old for men. So value added, cooking is value added. Cleaning is value added. And I hate that men only ever bring up those 2 things because there's a lot more ways that women can add value to themselves beyond just this, 1950s father knows best crap. Okay. Yeah. It's great if you got a girl that can cook, but it's better if you have a girl who knows how to handle the house, or knows what to do in an emergency situation or can use the goddamn, fire extinguisher if she has to. Those kinds of things where you don't have to do everything as a guy. That's really what I'm talking. I'm not saying like, oh, you got to shirk your responsibilities. What I'm saying is if something needs to get built around the house, it's great if I'll be the first one in line to go build that thing. But if I can't be there because I'm doing something else like making money or busting ass or whatever, it's nice to know that you can actually go and build something for yourself, right? Hey, that's value added. Oh, look what I did. Great. Are you creative? Women are creative. If you're a creative woman, that's value added to me anyways. I don't know. Maybe this is for some other guys. Cooking is really a creative act, but it's also an act of love and nurturement. So there's other ways. I mean, just because you're a lousy cook doesn't mean you can't have value added in other ways, ladies. But the way things are right now, feminist ideology teaches you to not do anything and to feel good about it and to think that everything should be handed to you until you get to be about 32 and you wonder where all the nice guys. Oh, okay. So that was a really long one. Sorry. Van Michael says, will the red pill help bring about a golden age as Scott Adams often talks about? I don't know what Scott Adams is talking about with respect to a golden age. Is he talking about like between the genders right now? Because right now there's a big gender war and it's going to keep going. I think it's going to amplify. I was looking at, I should have brought it up. I have a few things on my Twitter feed here that I wanted to address today too, but Hotep Jesus was talking about There was, I think it might have been in Arizona, one of the universities in Arizona. There's some faculty or some faculty member there. They were talking about, Black Lives Matter, and they're just promoting, race and coming down on pretty much anything white. But now it's not about white guys. It's also just about guys. So now it's not so much, well, it doesn't matter if you're black or you're white. It's endemic toxic masculinity. And I've been saying this, I've been banging this gong for a long time. It's like, I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, Latino, whatever. It's like guys will say, well, that's only a white thing. Yeah, now. And guess what? Now it's changing. Now it's black guys who are going to be the guys who are going to, and I think a lot of black guys are sort of waking up to this. We tend to think of different ethnicities as being like maybe on differing levels of alpha. I've always thought that that's a mistake, because there are some very alpha white guys, there's some very alpha black guys. I think maybe if there's an impression, people are going to say, well, black guys they're naturally alpha. Well, yeah, but I've also met a lot of black guys who are kind of weesh. Remember when I did the video of the black girl and the black guy who were talking about like their breakup? I forget what it was called. It's called Closure. I did it not. I think I did it 2 weeks ago. I did it a week ago, didn't I? I did it on the Suicide Show, where the guys get zeroed out, and like that guy, that was a black man, did not look very alpha. So I think it's kind of contextual, to be honest. And I've said before, I think it's more about an attack on paternity. There's a war on paternity. There's also a war on, we're going to smash the patriarchy. It's just a matter of time, guys. Since the sexual revolution, there has been a social engineering program to feminize men and masculinize women. And now we have 2 generations that are the product of that. So bear that in mind next time you think it's a black or thing or a white thing. That's one of the reasons I got raging pissed off back in 2015 when Roosh decided it was going to be, we're going to do neo-masculinity, and like all this race baiting came out, all of this ethno-nationalism stuff came out, all of this anti, like he was talking about, we're not going to let homosexuals in our neo-masculine movement. And then, of course, what does he do? Like 2 or 3 weeks later, he goes and has an interview with Milo Yiannopoulos, who still happened to be working at Breitbart at that time. So I'm interested in every man's masculine experience as an aggregate. So yes, so we can maybe have a golden age at some point. I don't really know what Scott Adams is talking about, because usually when I think of Scott Adams, I don't think of gender issues, although his wife that is a really interesting situation. One of these days I'm gonna have to sort of dissect that for you guys. But when I think of Scott Adams, I think more social issues and political issues. So I don't know if you're referring to red pill in a political sense. I think that's a mistake, but maybe you're not. Charith, you're my savior. Thank you, man. I need a sound drop like that. What is oh wait, that's that one. No, that's not that. There you go. How's that for a sound drop? I don't know. I got to get a sound drop like the parting of the clouds or something. Richard Alexander says, can you do a night mode for your blog? A night mode? Oh, you mean you wanted a dark background? Yeah. Should I? A lot of people are digging like the dark mode for like Twitter, and I see it everywhere. I'm actually using it on my email right now. I was so used to having everything in light mode, and now everything's switched over to dark. I guess I might do that. I'll see what I can do, Richard. Armando, after internalizing the red pill, it's become a challenge for me to compartmentalize my lifestyle, my professional life. Any advice on this? Why are you compartmentalizing? Okay. Slimy, oily, bulletproof MCT oil. I think that's what it's called. Why would you want to compartmentalize? Why is that even? Why would that be a purpose? Because if you're compartmentalizing, does that mean you're red pill over here and you're not over here? Or are you actually making an internalized change? Like you're saying, after internalizing the red pill. So if you've internalized a red pill, why would you feel the need to compartmentalize it? And I'm sort of, maybe I'm extrapolating what you mean here. It might be a little bit different. But your lifestyle and your professional life. One of the things that I've said before, and this is I think we talked about this when we were talking about Jeff Bezos. Guys, whenever I talk about Will Smith or especially a celebrity, what's his name? Prince Harry, Meghan Markle's husband, Harry Markle. I don't think he's a prince anymore, is he? When I talk about those guys who are celebrities, guys who, Prince Harry, how dare you talk about him? He flew helicopters in the military. He's got to be alpha, right? Who are you? You don't know him, But I will say this is those guys compartmentalize. They compartmentalize their. If you look at Jeff Bezos, he's the richest man in the world. He's also the bluest man in the world too. Because if you look at his lifestyle with Lauren Sanchez and the decisions he makes when it comes to his personal life and women, you can be a leader of industry. I keep telling you guys this, alpha is not a demographic. It's a mindset. Red pill, same thing. And if you're red pill and you're red pill aware and you've internalized it, how is that changing your life? And I mean every aspect of your life, not just, I'm going to go out to the clubs and pick up a girl kind of thing. Like, how is that motivating you? One of the things about the red pill from an intergender, intersexual dynamics perspective is it leads to other things. It leads to, like, I know that I think it was CNN or the BBC or something like that would say, oh yeah, it leads to white nationalism, or it leads to conservative politics, or it leads to, hate. It's like, no, it doesn't. But I think if you're in that particular mindset, you might think that it does. You might think that it should. I think the red pill gets demonized and redefined in ways that it was never intended to be. And I know that guys who are quote unquote red pilled will use it in a lot of different contexts. There's a lot of tradcons think they're red pilled, but they use it because they're only reinforcing what they think is already true, ought to be true for everybody, right? It's like saying, well, I took the red pill, so I know the truth. I've always had the Christianity has always been red pilled. Islam has always been red pilled. Republicans have always been red, like whatever your pet ideological thing is well, there's a term for that now and it's called red pill. Like even Candace Owens used to be called red pill black. She doesn't go by that anymore because that got conflated, let's say, with the alt-right. So it kind of goes back to what the other question about Scott Adams, golden age. There is no golden age to go back to. You don't have the red pill is not a time machine. In fact, tradcons don't want the red pill. They want a time machine. They want to go back to some romanticized golden age. You're not going back to a golden age. You're going forward. And hopefully you're going to make a better life for yourself. That's good. But if you're compartmentalizing, you feel that you have to compartmentalize, that's the problem. Because if you're internalizing the red pill, it should be something that changes your personality. It should become your second nature. Red pill awareness and the red pill lens that we talk about all the time, that should be second nature. When guys say, well, how do I change my friend? How do my buddy, man, he's my best friend, my brother, or maybe somebody you're related to. I gotta unplug him from the matrix, Rollo. Help me. How do I do it? And I always say this is like there's some guys you can't help, but if you're going to help that guy, you have to have your red pill lens on all the time. It has to be real for you. It can't be an act. Same thing with game. I keep hearing this over and over and over again. Because in every new generation, this happens. I've seen this probably happen 3 times. I've been in what we call the manosphere now for almost 20 years. And in that time, I've seen this happen 3 times. And this is the 3rd time. And the 3rd time is that a lot of guys are using game as if it is some sort of disingenuous act. Like, oh, you want to learn about girls? There's something wrong with you. If you want to learn about how to understand women's nature, then you're being inauthentic. I strongly disagree with that. How else are you? What's funny is like back in the day, prior to the sexual revolution, when men understood their gender roles, and I would say even in through like maybe the 70s and to the early 80s, depending on what kind of father you have, you will understand those things. Or if you have brothers, or if you know guys who are successful with women and you sort of picked up on those things, and you understand women's nature, or maybe they just through, watching or learning or having it taught to you, I don't know. But to have the desire today to learn, if you really want to get good with women, if you really want to, if you want to know game, you got an uphill battle right now because so many people don't want you to. It's the crabs in a barrel mentality. You just got to be a man and go out there and do it and go do this and go do that. And if you're trying to learn about it, then there's something wrong with you. You're inauthentic. You just need to just be yourself, right? Wow, where have we heard that? About 1 million times back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. It's been around for forever. That when somebody tells you just be yourself, just be a man, just be yourself. Just go up there and talk to her. Just be yourself. Whenever somebody says that, they don't know what else to say because they don't understand it themselves. They just know what worked for them. I just went up and did it. Why can't you do it? Why can't you just understand women? Why do you need this red pill stuff? Why do you need these forums? Why do you need this book? Why do you need this stuff? And really what it is it's kind of a form of intra-sexual competition. So if you're asking for advice, if you're trying to figure things out for yourself, if you're compartmentalizing, right? Well, I'm going to be this way with girls. I'm going to be this way with my boys. I'm going to be this way at work. I'm going to be this way at church. I'm going to be this with my family. I'm going to be this with my dogs. I don't know, whatever. If you're thinking in terms of compartmentalizing things, you will never understand who you are. You will never develop a real, an authentic identity, right? So what I tell guys is this, is when guys want to evangelize for the red pill, or they want to tell their friends, if they want to help those guys, I say lay off, don't evangelize, just ask questions and lead with those questions. Point out things in your environment. You have the red pill lens, point it out and frame it as a question. What do you think about this? What do you think about this female supremacism thing that's going on over here? What do you think about these women who are trying to take over the church? What do you think about this candidate over here? She says this. Why do female candidates always seem to be socialists? Ask those questions, not don't, beat people over the head with it. That's from a political aspect, but you can say, hey, why does it seem like, girls always go for jerks? And then they say they want the nice guy later on. Ask the Socratic method, right? Ask the right question. But again, compartmentalizing, you need to be consistent. If you have truly internalized the red pill and it's part of your personality, and it's become part of who you are, you shouldn't be thinking in terms of compartmentalizing. Now, that said, remember that you have to sort of, I think this is one of the 48 laws of power. It's always, what is it? Act, think as you will, but act like others. I think that's what, I forget, maybe I'm paraphrasing here, but that's one of those things. It's think as you will, but act as others so that you can sort of, that's a form of power, is to learn what other people are thinking. And then you can't initiate change overnight. You can't do it too radically. It has to be something that's sort of incremental. It's the same way with when you change yourself, when you internalize a red pill, and you suddenly you go from being this dweeby, nerdy kind of beta dude, and you act as if you're an alpha. People will reject that, and they'll say you're a poser, or they'll say you're trying to be somebody you're not, man. Just be yourself, Because, well, first of all, they want to rope you back. Again, it's that same thing about crabs in a barrel. When one crab crawls to the top of the barrel, the other crabs pull them back in. Same thing. If you do it too radically and too soon, it seems like you're pouting. It seems like you're forget that. I'm looking for that. I don't want to say it's pedantic. It's not that. It's you're petulant, right? You're acting like a kid, right? Or you're trying to be something that you're not. But if you do it gradually, or if you leave a situation for a long time, or you leave a social situation for a long time, you come back and you're kind of like somebody else. Like a lot of military guys, they go away on deployment and they come back somebody else. And people will accept that because they've gone through an experience that they didn't understand, and they're going, "Oh, that's what he's about now. That's what he's like." It's like going to your high school reunion, right? You're somebody. You're a different dude when you're 18, and then when you're 28 and you're 38. People are more willing to accept that because they don't know what your situation was. They're not familiar with your personality, because personality is not static. I don't care what any MBTI douchebag has to say about that. Personalities are not static. Who you are today was not who you will be in 5 years, in 3 years. Let's see, what else do I have for you? Thank you for that question. That was really nice of you. Super chat sticker. I like stickers. You can send me stickers. Glenn Lawrence. Hey, $14.99. Thank you, my friend. Hey, Rollo, did you receive my email? I would really like to chat with you when you are available about a screenplay I'm working on. Okay. Yeah. Insight, screenplay as in like, do you want to like pitch it to like Netflix or something? What really makes a screenplay today? It's like a sitcom. Would like your insights? Yeah. Absolutely. Glenn, are you, I don't know if you're a patron. I think you are a Patreon subscriber. So, hit me up on Patreon and we can discuss. Okay. David Ortega, do you have any thoughts? Yeah. Or have you heard of anyone having a ceremonial religious wedding only to avoid the financial risks and consequences associated with a civil wedding? Dave, that's a really good, deep question. And I'm glad you asked that because that is central to the marriage section of the marriage chapter on marriage in book 4. I learned this, the difference, what I call a covenant marriage, like we would say a ceremonial marriage or religious marriage versus a contractual marriage. And that's the way we do marriage right now, which is contractual. We actually do both right now, depending on, I mean, if you don't believe in God, if you don't have like a religion, you don't have any spirituality and you still get married, people still get married. I think a lot of people don't, I think people think that whatever religion they happen to be a part of has some sort of monopoly on marriage. Like, we're the only ones that do it right. We're Christians. We do it all right. You don't have a monopoly on marriage. People have been getting married who have not been your religion for a long time. And religions you probably never even heard of still have marriages. Tribal things, societal things, ethnic things, cultural things. There's all kinds of different ways for people to sort of form that union, because at some point along the way, it seemed like a good idea for man and woman to get together in some sort of formal sense, so that to be complements to each other, but also to sort of have this mutual symbiosis, I guess would be a better word. So it's like, I will love and honor and cherish you, forsaking all others. If you listen to like the traditional conventional marriage vows, and I'm not talking like, I'm talking from a Western sense. I mean, obviously there's different ones for like different religions and different nationalities and things like that. I get it. But usually it's if it's based on I'm a man, you're a woman, and we want to get together and we're going to form a family. It's really about family creation. If that's the case, it's usually a contractual arrangement before God and family and everything else, like before God and our families and this religious guy right here and whoever. I promise not to bang anybody else. You promise not to bang anybody else. Those are the conditions of our marriage. You have my kids. I take care of you. I take care of those kids. Here's the deal. What do you say? Forsaking all others till death do us part, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer. So if I become poor and destitute, you're still sticking with me. Even in the hard times, you're sticking with me. In the good times, you're sticking with me. If I'm get sick and have a big old goiter on my neck, you're going to stick with me, whatever. That used to be a contractual thing, but then we turn it into a religious thing. And now it's like, what God has put together, let no man tear apart kind of thing. So there's a religious aspect that has to go along with that. But remember that marriage is, even in traditional religions, mainstream religions, haven't always been the same. So if you look at Old Testament marriages versus New Testament marriages, or you look at the way that, Talmudic, I'm going to butcher this too. I'm sorry, Rabbi Kaba, Talmudic marriage versus like, say, Fiddler on the Roof, jump across the broom kind of marriage, crush the glass kind of marriage like that. We didn't always do marriage the way that we always have done. And I think right now is, what's happening is contractual marriage is the standard. It's set the standard. And Dalrock has talked about this, for forever. And I talked about this with Dr. Everett Piper one time on Pat Campbell's show. And I took the anti-marriage, or the, at least the caution side of getting into marriage, because of the fact that contractual marriage is the law of the land right now. So contractually, legally, men have far more to risk, if all to risk in that contract. I've heard it described as this, and I wrote this in that chapter, which is marriage is what's called an unconscionable contract. It means that it is a contract that anybody with a reasonable amount of sanity would never enter into, knowing all the details before they got into it. It's there's literally a definition of this. If you go on Wikipedia and you look and you type in unconscionable contract, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a legal definition too, I think. Marriage has become an unconscionable contract. I even, when I was talking to Everett Piper, I said, you know, wouldn't it be great if we could just have civil union? Like you're saying, right? You're suggesting right here, Dave, this stuff, like have a religious wedding. Yeah, that was my point. I said, how about this? How about we have it like we used to when the state's not involved with the, before God and family again, right? I mean, prior to like say the 1800s, I want to say 1800s, when they didn't have marriage contracts, it was just like you go to the church, all your friends and everybody in that locale, I guess, the village or the township or whatever, they saw you getting together. You say, okay, that man and that woman are married. Look, they got the ring. Here it is. Okay, good enough. Okay, that's your wife. That's your wife. She cheats on you. Well, that's adultery. We put a red A on her forehead. Whatever. You know, you could tell, what is it? The handmaiden's tale. Like, what are the contracts in that? So I made that case, and again, I'm giving away a little bit of the middle of the book here, but I made the case that maybe it would be best for people to do, like, say what Craig from Abu American is doing. He's got, thank you, Craig, I hope you only have 3 wives. I'm going to say 3. I think you want 4. Like Muslim men can have up to 4. It's an option. You don't have to, but you can have as many as 4 or as few as 1, according to my data. But according to Craig, and I think a lot of the other guys that I've talked to who are Muslim, they kind of, that's between them and God and their families and the women that they're with. And the women submit to their husbands because that's their religious convictions. Now, what MGTOW guys will say and what black pill doomer guys will say is, well, it doesn't matter. You can't out alpha the state. So even if you had that civil union, even if you had that religious wedding and you had it in a Western country like the United States, UK, wherever, anywhere in Western Europe, if you had it there, most likely the Duluth model of feminism is the threat point for those wives. There's always recourse. So, you know, maybe not financially, maybe, you know, like a lot of women will say, well, you know, they beat their wives and they rule over them. They're domineering patriarchal men. That's why I keep saying that feminism and the feminine imperative are coming next for Islam. And I would, from what I've been able to gather, that it's already making inroads, definitely slower than other religions, but still. So anyways, the long story short is the problem with your question here, David, is that you can minimize it. You can minimize financial risk. You can minimize consequences in relation to a contractual marriage where you've signed on the dotted line and she signs your name as the father of the child, whether you are or you're not. The state, the gynocratic state, is always going to favor and always going to decide on the side of women, unless that woman is completely out of her mind, medically, chemically incompetent, is a criminal, is a drug addict, that kind of stuff. Generally, the state is always going to side with a woman. So whether or not you have a religious, and I got schooled on this a little bit too, because I had that, like I said, I was talking with Dr. Piper, and he, of course, decided that, no, we need to fix contractual marriage. And I'm thinking maybe he was right. Like, we need to fix contractual marriage, but not in the way he was thinking. I think we need to fix it in terms of making it less gynocentric and making it more of a balance, go back to the balance that it should have been. Now, how do we do that? I don't know. I would love for, I keep saying this, I'm not anti-marriage. I'm just anti-marriage the way we do it now. I think that marriage has been a foundation, it's been a bedrock for Western civilization. Because when you understand intersexual dynamics, when you understand gender dynamics, when you understand your gender roles, when you understand conventional masculinity and conventional femininity, when you can wrap your head around that, and I don't mean that from blank slate woo-woo subjectivism, I mean that like from like hard in your face data, objective truth, when you understand those things, men and women are better together than we are apart. Now, there's a lot of social, let's say, influences and incentives to divide us because as a gender. And I'm not saying this from a religious perspective. I'm just saying this from a practical, pragmatic perspective. Even if we all were atheists, right? Men and women would still want to get together. We still want to have sex. We still want to form a family. We still want, because that's what we do, right? How you do that, I don't know. But I think that there is a species level, like hindbrain desire to form a family. And the way you do that is you have to understand what men and women are about. And there has to be, like, eventually, what's sex for, right? Reproduction. What's reproduction for? Family creation. So that those little creations, those little families end up becoming little miniature tribes. Those tribes become bigger tribes and towns and nations and blah, blah, blah. Right? We are innately tribalistic. And how do you hold those together? Well, with religion, sure. In the past, it has been. I don't know what else it could be right at this point, but maybe something else will come up later on. I would say that marriages used to be a good idea. It used to be a fantastic idea. But the way civilization and our global social order has changed, it is the worst decision a guy can make right now. And until things change, I don't see any future for what we know of as sort of conventional marriage right now. Arnold says, does your new book matter for an atheist? Oh, yes, absolutely. It matters for atheists. You will enjoy it as an atheist. It's not written for atheists. It's not written for any religious perspective. In fact, I'll give you a hint, since you gave me $2 Russian dollars. I don't know what the R stands for. In the introduction, I say that. I say, you know what? If you are a Muslim, if you are a Christian, if you are a Jew, if you are a Hindu, which is the third largest religion, mainstream religion on planet Earth, if you are of a person of any kind of faith, and even if you are an atheist, I'm probably going to piss you off at some point in the book. I'm not writing it for anybody that any particular ideological belief set in particular. And as a result of that, I realized early on that I can't win. So because so many people said, well, are you going to include, pre-church Mormonism from 1670 through 1721? Before we got to Salt Lake City, Utah, are you going to talk about Coptic Christians in Egypt? No, no, I'm not. I'm going to put things in more red pill perspective. Am I talking about Christians? Yes. Am I talking about Jews? Yes. Am I talking about Muslims? Yes. I'm talking about everybody who is a believer of some sort. So, and I include atheism in that as well. So, does it matter for atheists? Yes, you will love it. I think probably what's going to happen is a lot of people who already hate Rollo Tomassi, they'll say, well, he's bashing Christians. And if they're Christian, and if they're Muslim, they'll say he bashed Muslims. And I'm not bashing anybody, man. All I'm doing is I'm connecting dots. And people are very ego invested in religion. So you can't say anything that is unflattering, or even I wouldn't say even unflattering. It's hard to even just put out objective things about a particular religion without it coming off as like, well, that's real. He's not an Eastern Orthodox monk like me. He doesn't know. I read from the King James Bible from colonial American time, or from the time of Charlemagne. I don't know. Yes, it will matter to atheists. It matters to everybody. Come on, man. Thank you for that $550 Eldar dollars there. What do the Eldar use? I don't know. It looked like an Eldar rune. Sorry. Chetson Kums, 20-year-old. Welcome. Been told hot by many girls, you're hot. Okay. But lack confidence to approach. Can a she lose attraction? Can a woman lose attraction and arousal if she finds that the guy lacks confidence? Yes. So confidence, how do you get confidence? You get confidence is derived from options. So again, that's why I was saying before is like when I hear guys come down on other dudes saying, well, you just get like, or confidence becomes sort of like a commodity for guys who are in sort of the positivity grift, right? Here, you just got to be confident and just go out and do it. And so rather than saying like, okay, well, how do you get confidence? Well, they're the ones who become your source for confidence. Like you go to their pep rally. Okay, we're going to go out and win. Right. Come on, go. Like that. And for some guys that works, the positivity, like, kick you in the butt, like tough love kind of thing. It works. I mentioned this on Rule Zero yesterday. When I did that Dutch documentary on the red pill, the manosphere. I don't think it was really red pill, the manosphere, for VPro. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, it debuted at the beginning of March. So you probably were interested in other things that were going on at that time. But I did I was actually a pretty big part of a Dutch public television. It's called VPro. And I did an interview for that. And I was on there with actually Dr. Warren Farrell, not like simultaneously, but he was involved in the documentary as well. But at the very first part of that documentary, there was a group of guys who were sort of, I think they had sort of like a men's retreat kind of thing. And I know a lot of churches do this too, like the men's encounter, or they try to they sell it as this sort of masculine bonding experience. Well, if you're not religious, but you still kind of, you've in some way, maybe at your root level, you say, I need to really change my life. I need to have my ass kicked. You might go to Tony Robbins. You might go to one of these things. In the beginning of that, it was, I think it was German. There was a group of German guys. I hope it might've been Dutch. I'm not sure. But these guys would get together and they would talk about stuff. And it wasn't like, oh, let's get together and talk about our feelings. It wasn't that. It was really sort of this detailed kind of workshop. And then afterwards, they're getting yelled at. Like they'll line up so that some guy can go up to them and go, you suck and you're going to get your life together. Blah, blah, blah. Like that, the stuff that their beta blue pill fathers probably never did. You'll see the same thing, maybe to a lesser degree, I think, with Elliot Hulse. And so you'll see his sort of, be a man kind of weekend and go lift heavy rocks and pretend you're a strong man kind of thing and all that. And guys pay top dollar to go there and really kind of what I call self-flagellation. Like they want to go because they want to get beat. They want a boot camp experience. They want to feel like they're doing something. And it's really kind of the same dynamic that I see going on with, like, say, Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's like, oh, make your bed, stand up straight, chest out, shoulders back, wash your hands, wash your penis, whatever. I don't know, whatever he says, right? And it's the stuff that they were never told. There's no regimen, there's no order, everything is so subjective right now. We're in the second or third generation of subjectivity with respect to guys understanding masculinity. And so I think that a lot of these guys sort of go to these things, or the appeal of these things is really not so much about, you're going to learn about masculinity or how to be a man. It's more about the experience of, tell me what to do. Give me some regimen. Give me some routine. Give me, when you say, well, you need to go join the military, young man. Well, yeah, in some ways, at least it used to be. I'm not sure it's this way now, but you join the military and you have some sort of regularity to your life, or you have some sort of changing experience, I guess. And I don't know if that really exists anymore. I don't know about the United States, but maybe in other countries it does. But that will give you some sort of confidence. That will give you some sort of, maybe that's what they're thinking that they're going to derive from this, is a sense of confidence. And really what confidence ends up being to these guys is sort of being incentivized to confidence. When you go to Tony Robbins doesn't tell you how to be confident. He tells you what to think, or what he thinks you ought to think, but he doesn't tell you the truth about confidence. And the confidence comes from options. It comes from knowing that you have something else going for you, and gives you the freedom and the safety net to sort of experiment and be bold in other ways. So I will contextualize this in terms of like women, or actually, let me back that up. Let's contextualize this in form of like a job. Like if you're going to go to talk to your boss and you say, look, hey, I've been here for 4 years. I've only had 2% raises. I want to get a raise. Now, are you going to go have that conversation with your boss when you don't have another job already lined up? Or are you more confident when you do have something that you know is going to pay you more money and you can sort of wheel and deal with the guy that you're with? So confidence comes from how that's the option. The option is you have another job that's already offered you something on the table. I've done it myself several times, actually, where I've had, people offer me jobs or they have partnerships or whatever. And I just go and I say, look, or sometimes I don't even have that conversation. I'm just like, hey, I'm leaving. Here's my 2 weeks notice. Then they initiate the conversation and now they're rewarding me for my disloyalty. But I would never have done that. And in some cases, I've actually gone back to the same job that I was with because they offer me so much more money. It's like, well, why are you now offering this much money to me when you've been jacking me around for this long, right? So what does that tell you about the place that you're working for? Whatever. The concept is that you would not have that conversation in the first place if you did not have options. You are confident enough to say, hey, I'm out 2 weeks. Thanks, guys. It's been real. And if they come back to you, or maybe you want to play ball with them and say, hey, you know what? I really need a raise. I need these benefits. I need a little bit more money. I want these hours. I want this vacation. I want this promotion. Let's deal. The guy says, go piss off. Great. I got another job over here already. This is my 2 weeks notice. I'm out late. See you later. It's the same thing with women, right? Confidence is derived from options. All confidence is derived from options or your known ability to generate options. So if you're a guy who has in the past, like say you get fired and you're like, oh, I'm screwed, right? You're going to lose confidence. Most guys, when they get zeroed out, it's really a zeroing out of their confidence because they don't know what they're going to do. Maybe their skills aren't what they used to be. Maybe their understanding of, in the case of women, like they don't understand women's nature and they're just sort of relying on what worked for them before and it's not working for them now. And they lose confidence because they understand that they don't have the ability to generate more options. That's the truth about confidence. Is if you know you have a gun in your pocket, you're more confident than you are when you don't, right? When you don't have, and I mean that figuratively. I'm not saying literally, well, maybe literally, but when you have something that you know will work for you. I know I can make this money because I've done it before. That's confidence, knowing that you can do those things because you've generated those options in the past. I know I got this one girl right here. She's kind of pissing me off. I don't want to deal with it, but I know that I can still be who I am. I can still, be Rollo Tomassi. I can still experiment. I know what I'm going to be bold. I can do the things that I know might piss her off. I can do these things that I might lose this girl. I don't care because I know that in the past I've generated those options and I know that I can do that again. That's where that confidence comes from. So it's either options in hand or it's the ability to generate those options because you've done so in the past. That's where confidence comes from. It doesn't come from like dig deep down inside you in this deep spiritual well of confidence and just pull it out and just be the man. No, that's not where it comes from. You know where it comes from? It comes from you practicing. It comes from, inspiration, but it comes from you practicing. It comes from you developing it. You got to believe in yourself. Okay, well, you believe in yourself, but that should only be a means to an end so that you can develop options so you can be confident. Like just believe, I believe in myself. That's spiritual woo-woo magical BS is what that is. That's Tony Robbins, positivity grift. And I can prove emphatically and empirically that stuff does not work. I can show you the studies that it's all feel good pep rally stuff. Hey, we're going to go out and take on the world kind of thing until 2 days later and you're drunk in a hotel room somewhere. So yeah. And then, so confidence. Yeah. That's the first thing that women say. They want a guy who's confident. Why do they want one that's confident? Why do they want a guy that's confident? Because a guy who's confident is the guy that other women want to get with and other men want to be. When it comes to creative intelligence, when it comes to the ability, like your competency really is also, if you're confident, you're competent. Competency. I know I can do it. That's kind of like the generate options side of that whole equation. It's have the options. Yeah. It's great to have a big fat bank account. So if she starts pissing you off, you're like, okay, screw it. Bye. You're out. I'm going to go off to Aruba and bang hookers and blow. Right? Whatever. Having the options is great, but also having the ability to generate the options. What does that say to women? It says, I'm competent. I know I can do these things. I'm not going to take your crap. And if you don't see the value in me, that's fine. There's plenty of other girls who do. Pre-selection. Confidence will lead to pre-selection. It can, anyways. All right, let's go. Apex Mindset says, can't wait till the next book. Yeah, me too. Because I got other things to do. I'm researched on Evo Psych. Good. But still hashing out how to square truth about sexual dynamics with Christianity, spirituality. Looking forward to your insight. Yeah, you'll get that. You'll get that in spades in this book. Simple Fly, who is a psychologist. I always have to say that. Awesome analysis of Tommy. She made a list of demands. A list of demands is synonymous with a hostage situation. Yeah, it can be. What an ego for her representation of the sisterhood. If the convention is digital, can you sell more tickets? Yes, and we will do so. Most likely. I'll let you know when that happens. We will be selling more tickets to it. If you want to participate, if you're one of the 20 guys who's already paid like the $500 from back in February, hang on to it. I'll fill you in on everything. But yes, we will be selling more. We're going to limit it. I don't know what that's going to be just yet. But yeah, we will. We'll probably have a limited time to sell like some more registrations if you want to participate. The reason I'm saying yes is because some of the new guys, I want to catch them up. Like I'm cool right now. I'm good. I'm committed. I'm in, whatever. I want the guys who came on like Sterling Cooper, Sterling Cooper, John Fitch. Now Myron Gaines is also going to be on the list. So now we're at a rounded off 10 guys. Aaron Clary, I know he's already in, and then John Sonmez. I want those guys to be able to get their people in too. So yeah, we will be selling more registrations for it. So there you go. And again, this is not what we planned, and I'm trying to make the best of a bad situation. Stephen Friedman, I hope I said that right. What age do you recommend a man start having children? I'm in my late 20s, not interested in marriage. Good career, doing well financially. Good. Well, that's tough, man. I think it's sort of a personal decision. If I had to say there's a good time to start having kids, I would say probably maybe your early to mid 30s. If you're hitting your stride, if you're already in your late 20s, and guys say, well, I don't want to get married. That's too dangerous. Well, you have two options. One is to get a surrogate and have a baby by yourself. Do you want a woman in your life? I think it's really the question. Do you want to have a long-term person in your life? Because if you have sex with a woman, you have, a child with that person, you're locked in for life. So know what you're getting into. Like I said, I'm not against marriage. I'm just against the way we do it now. I'm against I didn't see it coming. I didn't know she was going to turn on me. Help me, Rollo. I'm drowning. I'm against that kind of marriage. I'm against this kind of marriage. I don't know what I'm doing. That kind of marriage, I'm against that. I'm very much against that. But there's only one. Well, there's two ways for a guy to have kids these days. One is you got to get with a woman that you plan to be with for a long time, like a lifetime. Okay. Fortunately, this is not me because I only have one child and I've only ever had one child. And I have, like I said, that I know of, pretty sure I only have one kid out there. But when you produce a child, when you reproduce, you are now locked in. And I'm gonna say, well, what if the mother dies? Well, you're still locked in because that mother's genetics is still in your daughter or your son or whoever else. You are locked in for life with that kid and with that, because at some point, like guys will say, well, I gave it up for adoption. Guess what? 20 years later, that kid's going to come back and knock on your door and say, I just wanted to see who you are. For whatever reason. And I'm not saying this is with everybody, but for whatever reason, it seems to me that like people who are orphaned or people who are given up for adoption almost universally want to find out who their dad was or who their mom was. And I mean, maybe they don't, but maybe some don't, but I would say the vast majority does. I think there's some sort of like maybe it's like some root level human species thing to know, like, who's my father? I am your father. Let's see. So that's one option. One option is just simply, you've got to find somebody that you are close to, that you can develop some sort of long-term lifetime relationship with. Whether that's marriage, whether that's just however you want to arrange that, man. The only other option I can see is a surrogate, and you can be a single father by choice, which is like the rarest thing on planet Earth. Like you have to be the only to do what most women feel like they have a human right to do, which is reproduce. Like I'm going to go to a sperm bank. I'm going to impregnate myself. I can freeze my eggs. I can have a baby anytime I want, and I don't need no man. I'm going to do it all myself. Women can do that just like that. And there's all kinds of benefits to having done so. Men, you have to spend a lot of money to be a single father by choice. It's next to impossible unless you're doing some sort of like biologically. Okay. Obviously you can adopt, but I think even single fathers have a really tough time adopting. I wonder what the rates are. I'd love to see the stat. I don't know the stats on that, but I would definitely guarantee that adoption agencies are probably more likely to give a child, foster parents, whatever, much more likely to give a child to a single mother, a single woman, and than they would ever do for a single guy. In fact, they'd be like, why do you want a kid? So why do you want an 8-year-old, Mr. Tomassi? Why do you want to really, yeah, you just even asking, like, no, people, I'd be surprised if even guys would ask that. You could be a gay couple and it would not be, you could be a homosexual 2 guys couple, and you're probably more likely to get to adopt than a single man would be able to adopt. That's pretty crazy, huh? But if that's something you want to do, and I don't advise that. I do not advise being a single parent for either women or men. I've had guys ask me that. Well, what about artificial wombs, Rollo? What about transhumanism, Rollo? What about it? Right now, as it stands right now, you would probably pay somewhere between $80,000 to $100,000, probably even more than that, if you intentionally, deliberately wanted to become a single father. Because you're like, you know what? I hate women so much and I can't trust them or worth a damn. And so, you know what? Here's $80,000. I have this kid for me. Here's my sperm. I don't even have to bang you. You just have it and inseminate yourself. Whoa. It's next to impossible. So you want to have kids, then probably also only really one option for you. And I'm not saying go get married. I'm just saying do what you got to do. Christian Matico. I hope I said that right this time. It's not Matico. It's Matico. I know because I talked to the dude yesterday. Christian says this. He says, meant to ask this question yesterday on Rule 0 on Rich Cooper's Entrepreneurs and Cars channel, in case you had missed it. How does a man in his early 20s stop watching porn? Ooh, good one. What techniques work best? Okay, well, here's what I'm going to say is you've got to... Do you want a behavioral psychologist, Rollo, to answer this? Because here's the behavioral answer to this. You have to remove the reward. When I think I talked about this a couple shows ago when I was talking about dopamine. Dopamine is not the feel-good drug. It is not the feel-good hormone. It is the precursor to the feel-good hormones. That's why you get kind of hooked on it, because it's not the this feels so good. It's not getting high. It's not the high. It's the, we're going to get high. Like that's the, hey, we're going to get high. We are? Yeah. It's like your brain, like your id and your ego, or your id and your ego is like, the ego's, we're going to get high. We're going to get high? Yeah, we're going to get high. And that's dopamine, right? That's the anticipatory. Is that right? Anticipatory, the anticipation hormone. And that's what keeps you going, right? That's why people get gambling addictions. It's not the, all right, we won. It's the, we're going to win. We could win on this reel. Ding, loser. That's okay. We can try this. We're going to win again. And it's the amping. It's the precursor to the good feelings, to the good endorphins that come that you are hoping for. Now, in this case, what are the good endorphins? Well, it's orgasm, right? It's a virtual sexual experience. So you have to remove that reward. Like, remember how they always say this, they like back in the day, and this has been completely disproven, but back in the day, it was like the reason why young men are shooting up schools is because they play violent video games. No, there's no connection, absolutely zero connection to that. Well, people still don't want to believe that. And the reason they don't want to believe that is because it's a virtual experience of killing somebody if you're playing first person shooters. It's a virtual experience and your mind doesn't know any different. The same thing with horror movies, right? We as a species like to feel scared. We like exhilaration. Why do we love roller coasters? Why do we love the crazy rides at Islands of Adventure in Orlando? Right? Why do we like Disneyland? Why do we like those things? Well, because we like the feeling of being out of control, but then being in control, kind of like, well, this is dangerous. Or like we like action, like we shooters, shoot games, not well games, but also like action adventure kind of movies. Why do we get off on that? Well, because it's a simulation, and we know in the back of our head that we're not going to die if the bullets start flying, but maybe they miss the main character. Like, why do we watch like Predator? Why do we watch those movies? Because we like the virtual experience of that, and our brains like that. And so we crave that. And we keep coming back to that. We like the stories. Human beings are storytellers. That's something we've been doing as sort of like a racial thing. And by that, I mean the human race. We've been doing for a long time, because that's how we learn. We learn from experiences. We don't have very many frightening experiences, and we don't have them in controlled states. We love to feel frightened because it helps us feel alive. We feel like the chemical rush of that. Why do women love indignation? Same thing. They're happy to have it like vicariously through their girlfriends or daytime talk shows or The View or Tyra Banks show, or is that even around anymore? Women love that because that triggers a certain chemical cocktail in women that they are addicted to. They just got to keep coming back to it. Why are women addicted to social media in the same way that men are addicted to pornography? Because it's just different, chemicals, but it's the same dopamine. Dopamine. I need to go on a dopamine diet. Well, if that's where you're at, the dopamine diet, the problem with going on a dopamine diet is that it is, where are you deriving the dopamine from? Are you deriving it from pornography? Are you deriving it from horror movies? Are you deriving it from skydiving? And even like skydiving, like let's just say you're into some sort of like dangerous sport or something. I'm guilty of this. Okay. And my wife hates it when I talk about this, but when I go out and I go backcountry sledding on my snowmobile, I get addicted to the fact that I could like really get seriously screwed up out there. I've had an 800-pound snowmobile almost roll over my chest. It was a good thing that the snow was deep enough to sort of be a cushion for that. But I've rolled snowmobiles before. I've set one on fire, actually. But that's not the thing. It's like what gets me is like I want the reward is getting to a new place. The reward for me, for my brain, the feel good reward is getting to High Meadows, right, which is a place up here. But you got to do it. You got to do some really gnarly ascents to get over into High Meadows. So it's the anticipation of being able to do that, or trying to get to a new place. So the dopamine is sort of like, I know it's dangerous. I know it could kill me. I know if I screw up and if I'm getting into a situation where I have to ride technically and it's beyond my ability, or like my abilities, I'm okay I'm decent at backcountry riding. But when I go up there, it's this thought, right? The thought is this: I'm like, okay, am I skillful enough to get up this little single track right here without having the snowmobile roll down, I don't know, 10,000 feet of mountainside? Right? Am I skillful enough to do that? That's where the dopamine comes from. And maybe that's an unhealthy addiction to that dopamine. I would definitely say it is. But so in this case, what is the reward? For me, it's like the feeling I get when I get up to where I'm going to go, or maybe it's the danger itself. What is it when it comes to pornography? Is it jerking off, and is it the release, or are you addicted to the anticipation of that release? Like, I think that most guys, when they have a trouble, and I'm not saying guys don't have habitual problems with pornography, they do. And particularly when you're in your 20s, because you have more testosterone in your bloodstream, and it seems like the way to sort of get to that release. It's easy outs. So Christian, like what I've said before is men's sexual imperative. Well, for women's strategy and their sexual imperative is hypergamy. For men, it's unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, and that's exactly what pornography delivers to men. Unlimited access, unlimited variety, unlimited sexuality. And at the end of your session, let's just say, and you get off and the oxytocin floods your system, you are sedated now. All of that is released, and anything that you could have used that dopamine for, anything that you could have used productively, use that angst and that frustration. You want to know why 18 to 20, like so many 18 to 24-year-old guys are sexless, while women are still like maybe slightly less, but certainly way more than most men. They're having sex and those guys aren't, because they're sedated. It's easier. The dopamine is like, people say, well, I'm addicted to dopamine. Maybe, but it's sedating you. The sedation of it is what really kind of cripples most men. And by that, I mean, well, actually all men. It will cripple you and it will sedate you. So you kind of have to make a conscious choice. You have to use your rationality. This is where the rational mind can override your firmware. If people want to say, people always say, well, Rollo, you're just all about biological determinism. No, I'm not. Not at all. No way. Because if that were the case, then people would not die on hunger strike, because your biology says, I need to eat. I got to eat. I got to eat. And if your brain says, nope, we're not eating until something happens. Nope, we're not going to eat. We're going on a hunger strike. We will die before we eat again. And the body is like, oh, I got to eat. I got to eat. Like, was it Gandhi? You know, when Gandhi went on his hunger strike, I saw it in the movie. Sorry. Yeah. People can override their biological firmware and their hardware even too by suicide, really. Think about it this way. Like, our instincts, when it comes to suicide, our instincts are to stay alive. If I throw something at your face and you're going to flinch, or a bug gets in your eye, you're like, get away from me. Like that, get away from me. That's instinctual. Fight or flight, adrenaline rush, that's instinctual. That's survival. So to kill yourself, to cause harm to yourself enough to kill yourself, to slit your wrist, to put a noose around your neck, maybe it's easier to just simply put a gun in your mouth and shoot yourself. But like to override your instinctual sense of self-preservation, that right there says that you can certainly be in an emotional state that will put you into, make you suicidal. You can override that. Your emotional can override your instinctual. Your rational can override your instinctual. So there's ways we can learn to get away from pornography and use that productively. Again, what you really need to ask yourself, if you want to give up porn, is this: why am I looking at this? Why am I constantly coming back to this? Why am I not using this time, energy, angst, and use that anger, man? Use that depression. Use those negative influences to do something constructive. I said this before. The human state is not contentment. But what does pornography do? It sedates you. It makes you think, at least temporarily, that you're content. That's great. Okay, now I can get back to saving the world, right? Now I can get back to my video games. Now I can get back to the curing cancer. Right? No, you won't, because you're sedated. You won't do anything. And maybe by design, maybe not by design. Certainly by your biology. It's like, why do we have so many obese people? And this is, Ryan Stone has used this example. Why do we have so many obese people today? Well, because food is plentiful. We don't have to kill our food anymore. We don't have to go out there and hunt caribou, take it, drag it back, clean the animal, put it over a fire, roast it, and sing songs to the, gods of the forest. Why don't we don't have to do that anymore. We can run down to Taco Bell right here. Burrito Supreme, baby. Yeah, you're going to get fat because your biology has evolved to be efficient in only one way. And if you have easy access to do that, well, you get soft, you get fat, you get stupid, you get sedated, right? Same thing with food, same thing with sex. So you have to have allow the rational mind to override the instinctual. Because really that's what sex is it's instinctual. It can be emotional too, but like mostly it's instinctual. I know that if I go to this site right here, right, that squirt, right? That's the adrenaline. That's the adrenaline rush. That's the endorphins that come after that. That's the dopamine that goes after that. And just you even thinking that, virtually thinking that, your mind doesn't know any different. That's why, like I said, horror movies are such a horror movies are something that like guys like, I'm into horror. I'm into romance, like women are into romance, novels and rom-coms, or The View. Why is the view such a big deal? Well, because it provides women with indignation. That indignation provides a chemical rush. Squirt, 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 right? So you need to make a conscious effort to do that. Honestly, I think it's really sort of like you say, oh, it's all willpower. It can be all willpower, but it's also removing yourself from that situation. And it's also forming habits that, and again, this is behaviorist Rollo. It's forming habits that are still intrinsically rewarding, but you're using the angst, or you're using the frustration to do something constructive. Because again, the state of humanity is not contentment, it is discontent. You can use it destructively or you can use it destructively. My suggestion is to use it constructively. Build something, create something, be better, get to actual sex, get to the actual experience. I hate it when guys say this, and I'll stop after this one, but honestly, to answer your question, Christian Matico. The best way to stop watching porn is to remove the reward of pornography. And so you've got to either, like, people will say, well, you just got to put your laptop somewhere, like Christian guys who have like 68% of men have admitted to being addicted to pornography. And you know what their cure for it is? To put the iMac in a public place, right? Or put the laptop in the middle of the family room so that you can't jerk off. Never works. Never works, because it has to start here. You will find a way to get to pornography. If the iMac is in the middle of the living room, Daddy can't jerk off. Great. He's going to find another way. And if it wasn't pornography, like I said, it would be something else. So you have to make that. It has to be a decision up here. It has to be something that you go, okay, I'm done. That's it. I'm going to use that instead of doing that. Like if I was to prescribe and I'm not a clinical psychologist, but from a behaviorism side of things, I would say you need to make the reward something different, right? You have to find reward in something else. So when you have, like, you get into that habit of jerking off, when you get into that habit of doing that over and over again, if you think that that's a problem, and I would say it is a problem, because for the most part, pornography is sedation, and that sedation is not, in no way is ever going to be productive for you. You won't go out to the clubs and learn how to sarge women. You won't learn how to paint a masterpiece or play guitar or walk your dogs, for crying out loud. Whatever. There has to be a reward for it. There has to be some sort of replacement for it. So that's probably the best way that I can answer that for you. Let's see. I am really behind here. Sorry, guys. I'm going to keep going here, guys. We're going to do the lightning round here. So that was Christian Matico. Question Everything says, what is a spontaneity girl and a hell yes girl, and how do you deal with both from a red pill perspective? I don't know what you mean by spontaneity girl. Honestly, a hell yes girl is the girl who's so into you, she will say hell yes to anything. Usually, if you're the one that's spontaneous and she's a hell yes girl, she ends up being the spontaneous one too. If a girl is really into you, she won't confuse you. I don't think I've said that before. That's part of, like, my first book. I think a lot of guys I think this was part of Medium is the Message. If a woman is into you, if a woman is a hell yes girl, she's not going to be beating around the bush. She's not going to play the coquette. If you represent that high of a value, reproductive value, if you are that high on he's the one, he's the guy, he's the one, he's the hell yes guy. If you represent that, especially in this day and age for women, if you represent the hell yes guy, a woman cannot afford to confuse you. She has to be right. It doesn't matter what's phase of ovulation she's in either. Like I'm a big proponent of ovulatory shift, but I also think what were we just talking about a minute ago? Like, the emotional and rational mind can overcome the instinctual mind. Well, I'm on the rag, but I got to have sex with this really high value alpha guy right now, even if I don't get off, even if I have to fake the orgasm, because I want him to stick around, because next week when I am ovulating, I want to really get after it with him. Women will do that. Like they'll be on, I know, because I've done it myself. Girls who will be on the rag, who are a first night lay, because they saw you as such a high value guy that they could not pass it up, or it was a golden opportunity. So that's what I mean by being the hell yes guy, because the hell yes girl has to have a hell yes guy. And in that case, maybe she becomes the spontaneous girl. And when you have that combination, that's the best thing in the world. So how do you deal with that? Well, you use your red pill awareness and you play it to the best of your abilities. How do you deal with that? Well, I don't see a difference between spontaneous girl. If you have a spontaneous girl and she's not hell yes, usually you're in the friend zone, dude. It's like I saw that one video somebody sent me this on Twitter, and I think it was a TikTok video, and the guy and the girl are there and they're doing some stupid little dance at some some kind of party or something, drinking. And she stops in the middle of it and turns to him and grabs his face, and she was just about to look like she was just about to kiss him. And then she's like, psych. And then she goes back to dancing again. And the guy's like, and this, of course, wherever everybody memes it, right? He's like, like what the hell? I almost got there and I didn't. Like, I'm stuck in the friend zone kind of thing, and look kind of like sheepish about the whole thing. And I told that when I saw that, I go, you know what? You know how you know you're a beta is because you hesitated. If she did that to you, you go right. You go, do it. Default to action. Always. What is it? Enter into action with boldness. That's 48 laws of power. Default to action is Royce. Default to game. That's Rollo. Right. Always default. If that's the case, if it's so in your face, go for it. Kiss her. Do it. And even if she's like, oh no, I didn't want that. Okay, well, she'll have a different opinion of you than if you didn't. Because when you hesitate and you're like, oh, sorry, should I? You're McFly. You're George McFly right there. So, and she thinks that's the way you are. That's the way you are. So spontaneity. If that's the case, if you have a woman who is sort of not into you, or is if you have spontaneous girl without hell yes girl in the same girl, you're probably in the friend zone. Crash 816 says, Rollo, without judging anybody, I've started to think that porn is actually bad for me. And other guys. Yeah. It can be. I find it takes my time and focus just like the wrong kind of woman would. Thoughts. Well, I kind of gave you a little bit of an outline of that. Let me just, I'll finalize what I was saying to Christian just a moment ago. Crash is, it's sedation. I think that really, maybe this helps Christian too, is if you think of it as a form of a depressant, if you think of it as think of it as a sleeping pill. I'm going to feel like when you eat crappy food, when you eat Taco Bell, it tastes really, you think about Taco Bell and right now I'm thinking about Taco Bell, man. I'm thinking about wherever your favorite junk food place is, right? Oh, I want a Twinkie, man. Wouldn't a Twinkie be good? Yeah. Twinkie would be good. That's the dopamine talking. Yeah. Taco, man. I need Nacho Supreme, man. That's the dopamine talking. But then you go and you eat it, and then it tastes good. And you're kind of halfway through, you're kind of all right. And you're done. And now you're bloated. And you're kind of oh, what was I thinking? Why did I have that Big Mac? And you feel bad for having consumed it. You can do that in a lot of different contexts. Pornography is one of those contexts. You can do that for watching stupid movies or stupid things. You wasted your time doing something. I don't care what it is. You could, maybe you thought it was a good idea before you started, and then you realized afterwards, oh man, I want my 1 hour of life back. If you think of it if you think of pornography in terms of it's like a sleeping pill, or it's a form of sedation, or it's like a depressant, like a drug that's a depressant, because eventually that's what it will be. You're excited and you're stimulated and you have the dopamine, and that's yeah, we're going to get off. But afterwards, the oxytocin kicks in. It's not just about dopamine. Remember that. It's also about the oxytocin that comes in. What was the other one? It's not. It's vasopressin. That's for men. It's vasopressin. That's I'm accessing my database here. Vasopressin kicks in. and it sedates you because here's a suggestion. I've got a post and it's called the pheromonal beta. And I go into like the evolutionary reasons why men jerk off and get off kind of thing in that one. I based it on that one scene in Something About Mary, where Cameron Diaz gets the infamous little thing with she thinks is like gel, like hair gel, and it's actually jizz in this guy's hand, right? And because his friend told him, you got to jerk off before you go on a date, because if you do, then you'll be relaxed, because women don't want you to be like, and completely false. Like, women don't want you to be like, you don't want to go out there with a loaded gun. You got to go out there relaxed. And he's not wrong that when you get off, when you have an orgasm, chemically you become more relaxed, you become sedated. And that's the problem, actually, because when you're sedated and you don't show interest in that woman because you got off, why do guys have such trouble getting it up for real sex if they're addicted to pornography? Because in their heads, that's the only thing that's stimulating enough, not their fat wives. It's the porn that they watched half an hour ago, or they had to go watch it so they can get it up, so they can get it after it with their wife, because now it's become a chore to those guys. These are the guys that I talk to who are like the older guys, who are the 68% of Christian guys who are addicted to pornography. It's not so much for some guys anyways, it's not so much about the being addicted to it and not getting anything done, being less productive. It's about like not even be able to perform, because that's what they've been accustomed to. That's what they're conditioned to. So yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with pornography. Now, am I anti-pornography? No, but I don't think that it should be something that is all consuming. And I realize how endemic it is, and it's endemic for a reason. I don't have anything personally against pornography. I mean, I got friends in the porn industry, obviously, but it's not that. It's what I'm against is you being hooked on that, you being so wrapped up into. I would say the same thing about alcohol too. Like, I have been selling alcohol for probably half of my professional career, right? I understand, like, I haven't had a drink in almost 3 years right now, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to focus on this book. Why? Because I can't be recovering. I can't be like, oh, I'm going to toss back 3 tumblers of bourbon before I go right. I can't do that. I can't be a drinker and be a good writer. I can't be a drinker and be a good bodybuilder. I can't be a drinker and a good snowmobiler, right? I can't do all of those things at the same time. I'm either a drinker and I'm this, or I'm a whatever, right? So it's the same thing with pornography. There are certain things you won't be able to do, and not because you don't have the will or the knowledge to do so. You just won't have the will. You just won't have the drive, because your sex drive is what motivates you to a lot of different things. That's why I always disagree with these guys. And I realize I'm getting off topic here, but I see these guys in the NoFap community or the semen retention community. And that's something I haven't really talked about, is semen retention. I know that's a huge, by the way, semen retention is a huge tag on YouTube, and it's a huge tag on other social media as well. It's one of those golden goose egg tags that's for YouTube, because so many guys are talking about it, because they think that there's like, they apply some like spiritual, like crazy woo-woo magical thinking dynamic to it. Because if you're spiritual and you think, oh, I'm going to be like a Buddhist monk and retain my sperm because it'll retain my energy and I can use it for my chi or something like that, I don't go and turn it into, I wouldn't go so far as to turn it into some sort of spiritual, like use the force Luke kind of stuff. I wouldn't go that far, but I will say this, is that when you are sexually, for lack of a better term, sexually frustrated, or you're trying to find a way to find sexual release, you will resort to novel behaviors to find a girl to get off with. Ask yourself this: why is it that when a guy jerks off, it's shameful? It's like, oh, you're a loser. You're an incel. We talked about this yesterday. You're an incel. You're a loser. Look at you jerking off. Ha, 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 ha. Have you ever met who hurt you? Have you ever met an actual woman Or like if you buy a fleshlight or you buy a sex doll, that's what losers do. The losers get those. The losers need a flesh. You actually use a fleshlight. Is it okay to use this Vaseline? Did you do something to like? It's that pin. There's a revulsion that we have when we see a guy beating off. But for women, when it comes to pornography, a woman getting off is like niche porn. Like, give me more, man. Go for it. Yeah. Express yourself. You're no longer repressed. Girl, you go. You finally have a real orgasm. Go do yourself. Because when a woman does it, it says something different than a guy. So if we see a woman who is playing with herself, that's a cue of sexual availability. Oh, she's getting ready for me. Yeah. If a guy does that, you're like, oh, go take that somewhere else. Go. You don't want to see that. That's even women like think that that's creepy and gross, right? Even if it's a good looking guy, they don't want to see that guy doing that. They'd rather get on their knees and like see another girl like giving him pleasure rather than him doing it himself. Why is it that even like sort of on a visceral instinctual level, when we see a guy is masturbating, that is shameful and gross and creepy and disgusting and revolting. But when we see a woman do that, game on, because there is a different reproductive dynamic between the two of them. So when a guy is doing that, it's because he is a beta. Beta male primates jerk off a whole lot more than alpha male primates do, because alpha male has access to sex. When a guy is jerking off, that is pretty much a visual cue that guy ain't getting it. And he's at a point where he has to get off to do that. And that's from an instinctual evolutionary perspective. That's really what I wrote about when I was talking about the pheromonal beta, is that those behaviors, like the things, here's one thing that I don't think guys get. And God, I wasn't really going to talk about this today, but maybe I need to. Like semen retention, it's not like some magical, I'm going to retain my force because then I can use it for, magic, whatever, like my chi. Okay, if you want to put it in those terms, that you're a believer and that's your thing, I guess that's sort of what a metaphorical truth. Okay, it's better that you do it than not do it, because really what you're doing is you're taking that kind of unreleased angst, that unreleased drive, and you're applying it somewhere else. Like, I hate to get Freudian, but Freud used to say that, all energy is sexual. And so how you apply that, you can, again, you apply that angst and that incentive and that motivation to reproduce in creative ways or in destructive ways. So if your idea is, I'm going to be the best damn guy I can be, and as a result, as a byproduct of that, I'm going to get laid. That before we had pornography, that used to be the way. Pornography right now is, I think that pornography, what it has evolved into is something that human beings can't handle now. Well, human males can't handle. Yeah. Or just a side note, like when I was talking about like how it's shameful to have a fleshlight or a sex doll or a waifu or whatever, it's shameful for that, or it's disgusting or revolting for that. But yet it's okay for women to have like dildo parties, like lingerie parties, or say like, it's like Tupperware, but it's like, here's how to please yourself, ladies. And like, oh, it's great. And they love it. And it's empowering. It's strong and independent and whatever else, whatever boilerplate you want to throw out there. That's evidence of it. We can market to it. It's so predictable. We can market to it. Now, I realize that a lot of guys are in certain communities. I'm not going to talk about which ones, but in certain communities, we're trying to sort of change that socially. Like, oh, it's okay to have a fleshlight, but you're still not going to see guys get together and drink wine and do whatever, apple teenies and talk about, here's the best fleshlight guy. Oh, really? Yeah. Here's my wife, my plastic doll. You're not going to see those Tupperware parties are not going to happen. So I would say this is that, yeah, it is. And like I was saying before, for the same dynamic, the same reason why we're fat today, because we have so much access to food, is the reason why we're so sedated today when it comes to pornography. Again, I'm not against pornography. I just think that most guys, 80% of guys are beta males. Those guys, a substantial portion of those 80%ers, it's just the easiest way to go. Just point A to point B. How do I get off? Oh, that's what I need. Great. It's like taking a leak, right? Where's the nearest bathroom? Over there. Okay. That's all. You don't have to fight for it. You don't have to kill for your food. You don't have to do anything really for your sexual release now. So what's your incentive? Why would you do anything? Why do anything? Richard Alexander says, how do you deal with the desire to have an emotional connection when dating? Hookups, one night stands, don't do it for me anymore. Is it blue pill? The sex isn't the same. Well, you have to understand. You have to ask yourself why you think that. Richard Alexander. I'm going to give you a couple of examples here. The first one is a guy I used to know named Sean, and I won't give you any last names, but the dude used to be involved with this girl who was just this fat, overbearing, like in no way should she have ever had the attitude she did. The guy was pretty good looking and had his, life together, his business together, but he was very super blue pill. And I'm happy to say that I pulled him out of that, but I'm also kind of ashamed to say that I didn't actually save him as well as I could, because although I red pilled him or unplugged him or whatever, and got him out of a very bad situation, it led him into a worse situation because he couldn't kill the beta. He couldn't get rid of his blue pill idealism. And so eventually what happened is I taught the guy that, how intersexual dynamics works. He DTB'd, right? He got rid of the girl and started getting out, started learning game, got out in the clubs, was enjoying himself for about, 6 months maybe. And then he met the hottest girl he's ever been with. And I was like, dude, don't catch feelings for this girl. Turn her into a plate. There's other girls out there that are, she's a good looking girl, but there's other girls that are out there. But she saw him for what he really was. And she was at a point in her life where she could use his, I won't say insecurities, but his sort of blue pill beta, unresolved, unkilled beta that he had as his real, true personality still. And he wasn't confident enough to think that he could generate anything better than this girl. So it's kind of like, almost like a Lauren Sanchez thing. Like, oh, well, she's the hottest girl I can get with. And she does all these tricks that my old fat girlfriend never did. And it's like, yeah, she is. I'm sure she's doing that because she has incentive to do that now. But later on, once you and he did get married to this girl, because he caught feelings for her. What he said to me right before all of this was, Rollo, thanks for your help. I got it from here. I'll see you later. Bye. Thanks, man. I got it. No worries. Bye-bye. And then, of course, what happens? 3 months, 4 months after the wedding, he's like, oh, suddenly he's in a sexless marriage. Suddenly he's working long hours. He's working outside of the county or whatever. And he's thinking about cheating on the girl. Sometimes he did cheat on the girl. And I'm like, and the reason that that was the result of that. But the reasons that he gave me at the end when he was saying, bye, I got it from here, was exactly what you're saying, Richard. I played the game. I'm done with the game. I don't want any more games. I need meaningful sex. I'm emotional. I'm a one woman man, right? And the guy was 28 years old. First time he ever had any kind of sexual selectivity. First time, and she was just one of many girls at that time. She was just the hottest, best, who played him the best and didn't realize it. And the reason I say I failed him is because I took that for an answer. I shouldn't have. And he told me what a lot of other guys have told me since then. And this was like back in like 2000, 2003, somewhere around there. And he told me the same thing. I'm done with the games, Rollo. I need to find something serious. I need to settle down. I played the game long enough. No, you haven't, because the girl that you were with, the fat girl that you were with, that ex-girlfriend now, who's now obsessing over you, who never did before, that girl, yeah, you spent probably most of your 20s with her. So from the time you were like 20 till you were 26 or whatever, 27, yeah, that's all you did was deal with that nonsense and that head game and all that crap. And now you're saying after 6 months you're done with the game? No, you're not. You're not even getting started in the game. You haven't scratched the surface of understanding what women's nature is about, what their strategy is about, what their life strategy and their sexual strategy is about. You haven't even touched it yet. But you think that because you found this hot piece of ass and she likes you and you like her and you start catching feelings for her, and the reason you're catching feelings for her is because you still haven't killed the beta. You still have not unlearned the conditioning that the blue pill has smashed into your brain. But you're going to use the rationales from the same social conventions that women will use. You need to have meaningful sex. You need to find a girl who you can talk, like everything that Tommy Lahren talked about, man. Yeah, she's right. I need a girl that's going to be, gosh darn it, she's got to have some gumption, right? You're not even scratching the surface. And of course, what happens is a guy gets married at 28, 29 maybe 29 years old, gets to be about 36 when he's starting to hit his stride, when he's like making more money than he ever has, but now he's got a kid. He's with a girl who saw him for what he was, used him for what he was. He was still ignorant of the game. And one of the reasons why I keep saying that women want guys who are dumb and stupid at 30 years old is because that is where you are at your as a man, that is where you're most vulnerable. And that's when women need you to be dumb at the most at any other time in their lives. So you're saying, I caught feelings for this girl. Ask yourself why you caught feelings. Did you catch feelings for her because you know women's nature so well and you know the game so well that you're like, oh, she's special. She's the one. What I tell guys is this: when it comes to monogamy, when it comes to like settling on like a girlfriend or something, you need to have had the experience with women enough to understand when you're getting played. And you need to also understand women enough to know, to understand yourself. Like when Richard Cooper asked me, he says, how did you vet for your wife, or how do you vet for a woman? And I told him this. I said, when I met my wife and I decided that I wanted to get married, or I wanted to at least be because I didn't say, I think I want to marry this girl. I didn't say that at first. She asked me to be exclusive with her. I didn't ask her. And I wasn't going to, because we were dating non-exclusively for a long time. And then she says, I don't like the idea of you being with another woman or with any other women. And I'm like, all right, you're the hottest piece of ass I'm with right now, and you're fun in bed. And I had to think about it for a minute. And so my vetting process was this: can I be faithful to her? Because I know what my options are. I know what I'm capable. I've seen me do it. I know what I'm capable of. Can I be faithful to this person? The answer to that was yes, because she was the best thing I had going. And she was, we clicked. We clicked pretty well. If you would have asked me back then, do you think that she is the jewel in the rough? I wouldn't have said that at all, because I was done. When I was out of my BPD relationship with the crazy girl in my mid-20s, I was like, And one of the reasons why I was attracting really good looking women at that time was because I didn't give a rat's ass about anybody or anything but me. And it was about damn time, because I'd spent most of my life going, how can I make her happy? How can I do this? When my mental point of origin was on women, I failed. Every effing time I failed. Every time that my first thought wasn't about myself, my own success, my own survival, my own benefit, and then like what I could do with that, like I said, it's enlightened self-interest. I'm not saying I'll be a selfish bastard, but when I did that, when I was the primary in my life, suddenly women paid holy crap, here's a guy who actually has some, and I didn't realize that because I was manifesting behaviors as a result of that I didn't realize I was. That's very important. I'll continue here in a minute, but it's very important to remember this, gentlemen, class, is that when you adopt a different way of thinking, when you unlearn what you've learned, when you have confidence, I was saying before, when you have options, you have confidence, when you are your own mental point of origin, when you're the first thing you think about when a tough decision, when a big decision, or any decision really, you're faced with, you're the first thing that comes to mind, and then maybe somebody else's, or your mom, or your daughter, or your wife, or your whatever, your dog. When that's the kid, when that's the problem, when that's the stage of like thought of me, okay, this, me, this. That's what I'm talking about. And you don't have to go, well, I better think about me for when it's not a conscious decision and it's something that's sort of your second nature and you've internalized that. What will happen, and this happens with guys who know game and who learn game and stuff because they're kind of aping the behaviors. But what will happen is when you have that, when you have mental point of origin, when you have confidence, when you have from options, when you have all of that, you will manifest behaviors that you won't realize that you are actually manifesting. You will do it so naturally that you won't think about it. But the women that are part of your life, hell, not even just the women, like the people who are in your lives will notice that, will pick up on that. Even if they don't like consciously acknowledge it, their subconscious will say he's acting in a different way. Why do women get suspicious of a guy, like think he's cheating or something like that, when he first starts going to the gym? I gotta get back in the gym, or something changes. Maybe he gets a promotion or something in his, like something changes his attitude. I told this to one of the guys yesterday when we were talking about incels. We actually took people on the show on Rule Zero. His name, I think the guy's name was Thomas. And Thomas, if you're watching right now, when I told you to you need to change your mind about yourself, the reason I said that is because once you actually understand it and you believe it and you make yourself your mental point of origin and you're not jerking off and you're aiming for something more, you have ambition, you're doing something with your life. Once that happens, you don't go, okay, now that I've done all that, I guess I got to change my behavior now. You won't. You'll do it naturally. It'll be part of that change in you. And women pick up on that. When people say, well, you just look better because you went to the gym. Yeah, but your mentality is in a different place at that point, especially when it's rewarded and it's reinforced. Again, behaviorist Rollo. When it's reinforced by people who are around you, yeah, you're going to change. Your attitude's going to change, and your behaviors are going to change, and you're going to manifest behaviors that you don't even realize that you're doing. But women will pick up on that because women are more sensitive to subcommunications and things. You might not, I'm not taking any crap from anybody ever again. Like, you might have that attitude. How does that manifest in your behaviors? You don't have to say it. You just have to think it. And then, this is who I am now, and this is how I behave. You're not thinking, oh, this is how I behave. That behavior comes from that new understanding of yourself. Unlearn what you've learned and give yourself permission to be somebody else. But you have to start thinking of yourself first. You have to, and I know that's kind of like Tony Robbins' stupid shit, but you have to start, you have to be your own mental point of origin, but you also have to change your mind about yourself. And when you do that, you'll find that your behaviors change along with it. It's also good for, how do I give up porn? Your behaviors, your manifested behaviors will change when you do. Let's see. What else do I got here? Emotional connection. So, okay. So if you want to, I would say this is, I wouldn't worry about hookups. I would not accept, and I'm getting back to that question really quickly. I would not accept the idea that hookups are necessarily meaningless. I've had lots of meaningless sex according to like every tradcon in the world, but I would tell you I have never had anything like meaningless sex. Every girl I ever had sex with, I meant to have sex with her. Right? I don't of the 40 plus women that I've had sex with, I maybe regret one. And that I in some cases I don't even necessarily regret the BPD that I was banging, because it was like crazy good sex. Like, the sex was fantastic. What came after sucked. She was crazy in bed, but she was crazy out of bed. There's a few that, like, there's some girls that I had sex with that I would kind of like, if I had it to do again, I might blow it off. I might not do that. But when it comes to I'm not saying to like kill your emotional self. Like, that's the problem. I think most guys think that if I'm talking about like instinct, emotion, and reason, and I think that, guys should just be like Dr. Spock. You can't. You're never going to be that way naturally. You can't be Dr. Spock or Mr. Spock. You can't be Mr. Spock all the time. You're an emotional person. You're going to have an emotional reaction. It's going to happen. How you choose to process those emotions, yes, you can train yourself, and you can be, the guy that is not a slave to his emotions. Let's see. Manuel says, I have a 10-page in-depth written account of red pill to blue pill regression. Oh, great. I have made every mistake in the book. I'd like a session or maybe YouTube breakdown, some sort. I am Josh breakdown manifest. Manuel, I'll tell you what I'll do for you, man. Consider joining the new Patreon group that I'm doing for group counseling. If that's not what you want, send me your 10-page in-depth thing and I'll look it over. And then maybe I'll do a show on it. So email that to me. My contact information is in the description of this video. Facundo Rosada Ayastariana. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm butchering everybody's name today. With all this red pill knowledge, can we say that women are mean by nature? Mean. But by the way, I am a Hare Krishna. Okay. I'd like to contribute to your fourth book about Hari. Oh, okay. I think, did you hit me up before? You might have hit me up before. Yeah. Hari Krishna, like the Krishna movement, for whatever reason, is very popular amongst Western women today, particularly single women who have pretty much given up on men. I would love to talk to you about that. As far as are women just naturally mean? They're just a mean woman. I don't think women are necessarily mean. I think that again, remember what we were talking about, how we have access to junk food now. We have availability. We have a crisis of availability that conflicts with our evolved natures. That comes in form of porn, comes in the form of food. That's why we have obese people. The other thing is that women also have access to social media. They have access to a global sexual marketplace. Does that make women mean? No, but it makes the overwhelming majority of women who are online participating in social media, or who are joining the global sexual marketplace right now. I think a lot of people mistake their selectivity and their overweening narcissism, arrogance, like the Tomi Lahrens of the world. I think we sort of see that as a mean. Is Tomi Lahren mean? Yeah, probably. But are all girls like that? I wouldn't say so. Are they naturally mean? No, they're not necessarily mean, but they're selective. And sometimes that selectivity, the problem, again, this is the crisis of availability, the availability of attention and the availability of this, of things that women crave for a long time, like in a global sexual marketplace, are satisfied just as well as pornography is for guys. So it's always attention is one, indignation is another. All of that builds up to one thing. It overblows women's egos. Like they believe that they are more valuable and they are entitled to things that they are not necessarily entitled to. Physical safety. I've said this before. Women will instigate and escalate inherently unsafe situations because somewhere along the way, they believe that they are entitled to physical safety. And so you'll see these videos of women who are like, particularly at the protest, but also like you see videos prior to the protest, you see women in videos taking on the bouncer at the club because they're drunk and they think that the bouncer's not going to do anything. They'll push the bouncer and the bouncer will do his job, which is shove you out the door. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, well, now you're learning that you should not have escalated an inherently unsafe situation. Because if there's not 10 guys around to go beat up that guy, you're going to get hurt. And women will actively instigate unsafe things because they think that they're entitled to safety, or they're entitled to like the top like 10% of guys, and that's simply not true. That selectivity is not bad, but the overblown sense of ego that is derived from that selectivity makes them seem mean, and very mean to guys who are simply going to be selected out no matter what. So they're just mean. No, they're not. They're not necessarily mean, but they can be. And your problem is not that they're mean. Your problem is that they have an overblown sense of self-worth. And when you get to be Tomi Lahren's age, and she's a good-looking girl, and she's used to getting a lot of attention, and by now, I think Tomi probably thought she was going to be married. She's got to follow this life plan like Taylor Swift, right? Like Carrie Underwood, right? Like all these girls, right? These cute little blonde, blue-haired girls. Blue-haired girls, cute blonde, blue-eyed girls. Anyways, I don't think they're necessarily mean. I think that the egos get conflated in all that. Niles Lindqvist says, isn't isn't the alpha collection of traits largely biologically conditioned? Well, is it biologically conditioned or is it socially conditioned? Because you're not biologically conditioning anything. That's your starting package. Your biology, your hardware, that's your starting package. It's not conditioned so much. What you're asking me is the alpha mindset something that is conditioned? And it can be. Like this is the classic question. Can you learn alpha? Yeah, you can. Particularly if you have an alpha dad who has been working on you and sort of encouraging you in one way. Is there a biological element? Yeah, there is too. Particularly if you're a big guy, if you're a guy who's naturally muscular, if you're a guy who is naturally high in testosterone, if you're physically imposing, you have physical prowess. Yeah, why would that guy be alpha? Well, because he starts earlier than most guys. He starts earlier by having that reinforced for him. I'm the bigger dominant. Clearly I'm bigger than all these kids in this class. So therefore they're expecting me to be something. And so, yeah, is there a conditioning element to it? Yes. In the mentality thing, is there a biological element? Yes, there is. Can you learn to be alpha? Can you learn to have an alpha mindset? Yes, you can. Alpha is not a demographic. It is a mindset. It is what you think of yourself. You can see like why do we call those guys like the guys who are like little short guys are like 5'4" in the gym and they're just yoked and they just got a good, they're just taking on the world and everything like that. They say, oh, he's got short man's disease. Yeah, well, you know what? That guy has a better alpha attitude than you do. That guy has probably nailed more chicks than you have because he saw that and he used that to become something else. I used this before and I'm gonna say this again just for sake of example. But if you look at Lemmy from Motorhead is not a big, the guy is, if you saw that guy on Tinder, women will swipe the other way. They will not choose Lemmy if they didn't know who he was. Lemmy has slept with more, well, in his time, he's dead now, but like in his time, he's a rock star. And people say, well, he's a rock star. That's why he got laid. No, he got laid because he looked like Lemmy and did something about it. That's why. Because he didn't take crap from anybody. That was his whole thing. If Lemmy's attitude hasn't changed from the time he was like 15 years. Did you know that Lemmy Kilmister knocked up a girl at 18? He'd been I think 18 or 19 years old. He'd been a father of a child since then. And looked like Lemmy. Okay. So it's not so, you're not like locked into just, oh, I don't look like that. I don't have a strong jawline. Rollo, help me. Give me exercise. Doesn't matter, man. It starts here. Same thing. Remember when I talk about the wall? I talk about the wall. Why are you guys so ready to accept the fact that when I say the wall starts here, not here, like a girl can look good, but she can still think that she can't compete with her 22-year-old self. The wall starts in her brain. The wall starts like Tommy Lahren is hitting the wall. She still looks good. Guys would still hit that if they didn't know who she was, probably. They would still hit that. Easy. But the thing is like the wall doesn't start here. It starts up here. Alpha doesn't start here. It starts here. Okay. You can look good. You can be built. You can condition that so that you have a better advantage because you have a natural advantage. Yeah. But your attitude, I'll find you guys for days. I can find you bodybuilders who have a very effeminate way of life. I can find guys who you would say, wow, such wasted potential. If he would just drop 10 pounds or just drop like 60 pounds, he'd be a linebacker. He'd look good or he'd do this. You got that guy who has maybe that natural advantage. Maybe looks good. He doesn't look like Giga Chad, right? What if I told you this? What if I told you, and what's the first thing? We were joking about this on Rule Zero yesterday. If you look at that guy, I forget the dude's name. I think he has some like Eastern European name. Giga Chad is that guy. He literally looks like what the Nega Chin from Fairly Odd Parents, or like the Crimson Trend. Literally looks like. How does a human being look like? I thought it was like, I don't know, maybe he has some work done, or if it was photoshopped or whatever. That's what I instantly thought. But the dude has that. He looks like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. The dude is. What if I told you that dude was gay? Of course, most guys would say, oh, he's gay anyway. Why would you think that? Well, because you're trying to disqualify him. He looks good. Any woman look at that and go, damn, that's a good looking dude. shit, I'm a guy, and I go, that's maybe I don't want to have sex with that guy, but I would like to look like that guy. And most dudes, like the guys who are saying, oh, I'll never get laid, Giga Chad, they're the same. They know they're like freaking out because they know they'll never look like that guy. But what if I said Giga Chad is effeminate and has only ever had sex with one chick because he's blue pill, or because he caught feelings for a girl, right? Or he's what if I told you that he is bisexual, or he's a willing cuckold? What if I told you those? And I'm saying those are true. I'm just saying, what if they were true? I'm sure you can find examples of guys who are biologically, that you go, oh, that guy's alpha. Yeah, but he's gay. Well, maybe he's a gay alpha, right? I'm sure that probably exists too. But that's the incongruency, right? Mindset to physicality, the body and the mind, right? So can you learn alpha? I think that's where you're going with this. Yes, you can learn alpha. Simply Fly says, please talk about seeking therapy for those who need support by shopping around for non-feminized therapists. You mean like you? Skull, that's Viking for cheers. Yeah, I know that. Or Proust, that's Dutch for the same thing. Simply Fly is suggesting this because I know that he's a clinical psychologist as well. Be careful who your therapists are if you seek therapy. I will tell you this: if you've ever done any kind of counseling with me, the first thing I'll do is make you agree to a policy. I'll email you the policy. And the first part of that policy is that you understand that I am not a clinical psychologist. I am not even trying to play one online. I will give you, to the best of my knowledge, what I think about certain situations, and that will be that. If I think at any time, and this is part of the policy, if I think at any time you need real, like, clinical psychological help, I'll be right there telling you, close out this window and go seek help, because there are certain things that I'm not going to be able to help you with because you have real clinical problems. So I will do that. Now, here's the thing. If you are doing that, if you're seeking out guys, you're seeking out a therapist, first of all, seek out a guy who's not effeminate. Finding a male therapist is next to impossible, considering that like 77 to 80% of psychology grads are women. But there's still guys that are out there, and I have encountered guys such as Simple Fly who are therapists who have used my book in their therapy, in their practice. So they're out there. You just have to go look for those guys, and be careful who you allow in your mind, including me, including your spiritual advisors and your psychological advisors. Be careful who you allow in your brain. Beware of people masquerading as, beware of obstacles masquerading as people. There you go. There's your deep shit for today. Assange Mohammed says, I hope I'm saying that right. Red pill shows you a lot, but also things you have a little or no power over. For me, that was the nice guy looks and aura. Killing this part is difficult. Okay. Yeah, it probably is very difficult. Again, I'll tell you the same thing I've been telling you, and I told this guy Thomas before. You have to change your mind about yourself. You will never lose that nice guy ideal. You will never lose that pacifist, passive, stand down ideal about yourself, that conditioning about yourself, until you give yourself permission to change your mind about yourself, to become something else. That's where everybody loses it. You want to know where Tony Robbins drops it? That's it. Oh, just get out there and go. It's all, or RSD, those guys, it's all a pep rally. Those guys are never going to make, the guys who are who seek out that kind of like positivity grift, you're never going to make any headway until you change your mind about yourself. And I know that sounds like really kind of like esoteric, but it's true. Until you give yourself permission to say, you know what, I am who I say I am. Sir Scorn says, Rollo, have you got any advice for a middle-aged guy who is selling up and leaving London to restart in Eastern Europe? Watch your ass. In Eastern Europe, particularly these days. I'm gonna presume you're asking me for like advice with like the women there. I don't know anything about Eastern Europe. I don't know where in Eastern Europe you're going to go. Actually, I guess in Eastern Europe, I know that the Tates are there. Where are they? Romania. I don't know exactly where you're going. I will say this. Here's a piece of advice for you. Remember that the girls that you meet, the women that you meet, assuming that that's the reason you're leaving, probably not. It's probably for other things too. But remember that the women there have cell phones and they are part of the global sexual marketplace like anybody else. So just because you're going to Southeast Asia or Eastern Europe or wherever you think the pickings are going to be easier, remember women still, all the women there, the women you want to get with have cell phones. They are part of social media, westernized social media. The good of orphans, $5. Given we live in the feminine primary social order, why has the rate of reported depression in women been on the rise over the past decades? Yes, and also the prescriptions for SSRIs. Perhaps more alpha widows. Yes, exactly. I did an episode on alpha widows, so I'm going to defer to that. But I think that the depression and the and in some cases clinical depression, because the SSRIs are prescribed way more for women right now. Remember what I said before in the rise of the she economy, coming by 2030, this is the forecast anyways, is that 52% of women will be unmarried and no children by the time they reach about 40, or like marriageable age women 52% of them will be unmarried. And as you get past a certain age, as you get past like say 33, 35, somewhere around there, the statistics of women ever getting married, ever starting a family, like just drop off a cliff. Now, before you go, yay, MGTOW wins, before you do that, think about what that fact represents to society, to westernized societies. What is it? You want to know why the fertility rate is in the toilet right now? That's exactly why. It's not because, women are they're focusing on their careers. No, they're not. This is a societal change. And then some people would say it's by design, but it's a societal change that has occurred that is not just impacting women, but it's impacting men, and it's impacting the development, the formation of families. So you've got like Forbes and Morgan Stanley going, oh boy, there's going to be more women who have more money. So we're going to have to market and do everything for women because we're in a female primary society. They're going to have more power. They're going to have more economic power. They're going to be the masters of the universe pretty soon. Yet they're all prescribed antidepressants. Yet they're all unhappy. That's another thing you were saying here, I think. They're at the least happy that women have ever been polled. And so you'll see one article that will say, oh, women are prescribed antidepressants more than anything else. And women are totally unhappy now. We have more power. The world is our oyster, but we're totally unhappy. Oh, it must be men's fault. We'll see those. And then the next article over, we'll see, oh, women without kids at 36 are polled as being the happiest. And it's this constant BS battle between like, well, what is it? Are they happy or are they on SSRIs? Why, how come we have a fertility rate that's below replacement? Oh, let's figure it out. Must be guys' fault. Oh, guys, you need to go and, man up. You got to start being the alpha that all these girls want. You got to start, feminism and the gynocentric social order would be such a raging success if men would just cooperate. Get out of here. And the thing that's funny is like, or maybe it's not funny, is that guys will hear that, women want them to be a certain man up. And so guys go, okay, I better man up. I'll do what here's do these things, and you'll get the manhood badge, and you'll be the guy that women want to get with. Ooh, okay, sounds like a deductive reasoning. That's what guys do. Like, okay, what do I got to do, Miss Leader of the Universe? Tommy Lahren, tell me what I have to do. She gave us 6 things that we all had to do. I do all those things. You know what? Those women want you less than in before when you were resisting it. Why? Because you've done all those things for her, not for yourself, not to be who you are, not to have your own identity, not to in any way create any kind of polarity between you and the women that would ever want you. Like Royce said this a long time ago, the secret to a healthy relationship is polarity. It's not like being alike or compromise or open communication. No, it's polarity. It's you being you and her being the hell yes girl for as long as she lives. That's, you want a healthy relationship? There it is. Be at least perceptually one step higher than her in sexual market value. Be the guy that other men want to be and other women want to get, even if you have to just give that impression to the girl that you're with. And you have to make it seem, if you want to really be devious, you have to make it seem like you did it naturally. Hopefully you are doing it naturally, but if you're not, you still have to give that impression. That's what, like, women, they understand, they understand when you're being contrived. They understand, like, women say, I want you to do these things and this and this and this and this. And you go, cool, I'm going to do all those things. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. That's what you'll get. And you'll get the divorce papers and you'll get the kids taken away from you. And you go, I did everything right, man. I did everything you told me. Tell me what I have to do. And you know what? All the stuff that you were supposed to do is exactly what you shouldn't have done, because you didn't do it on your own. I remember, just get it. You don't just get it. You had to be told what to do. You had to be told, like I said before, the surest way to make, and this is a Pook saying, I should say, the surest way to make a woman miserable is give her everything that she wants. So don't think that you have to, like, polarity is where it's at, man. You need to, if you want a successful relationship, you want to talk about, like, oh, feminine primary social, or why are they unhappy? Well, they're unhappy because we're giving them everything they want. They don't want that guy. They want the guy that pushes back. They want the guy that has the options, right? He has pre-selection. He's confident. Like, oh, we need a guy with confidence. What's that guy? He's the guy with the options enough to say, you know what? If this isn't what I want, then I'm out. Okay, you're the hell yes. I'm suddenly the hell yes girl. David Keck, Dave J. Keck, Top Keck. I've been spinning plates for 3 years. I met a girl who pretty much did it for me. 29 years old, virgin. We went exclusive. She became elusive, right? Because you gave her everything that she wanted. Polarity, polarity, polarity. Keep your identity. Don't become what she wants you to be. Become what you want to be. And if she doesn't want to, if that's like not what she's into, if she's, oh, I can get better than you. Okay, feel free. Oh, man, somebody sent me this video of this girl just shouting, screaming at her phone about this guy. She was breaking up with this guy on the phone. It was a video. I want to say it was a TikTok video. Maybe it was a TikTok video. She's just like, yes, I mean, screeching at this boy. You're never gonna find a guy or girl like me. I'm better than you. And she's like screaming into the speakerphone, right? And I could just see the guy. Hopefully, the guy on the other end is just like, whatever. She'll be back. Like that guy. Like you want confidence? That's confidence. If you have the confidence to say she'll be back, she'll get over it. If you have that confidence, that's the kind of confidence you need. It's not a, like, alpha men, alpha men, but alpha anything, alpha mammals, right, are not reactive. They're just like, okay, because, like, when you have options, you will find that things bother you less. It's the same, like having a big fat bank account or something like that. When you have options or the ability to generate options, you'll find that things that are like crises or like, I can't believe you're doing that. I don't care if you come or go. I got work to do. This is what I'm into right now. Or like, you ever seen a lion where the lion's just kind of like, and it could be like the world's exploding over here and he's just kind of like, it's that kind of understanding. It's like, you're not reactive. You're not a jumpy little nervous bird that is overly concerned with its own survival, because that in the long term, and considering your options, considering your strength, considering your dominance, considering your power, wherever you're at, that those things, you'll find that those things affect you less and less. And that will be, remember I said about like manifesting behaviors. That's a manifested behavior of an alpha male. They're non-reactive, tend to be non-reactive. If something's important enough, then they get a real violent reaction. But for the most part, they're non-reactive. They don't jump around like, oh my God, what happened to me? You know? Nils says, men are insanely hungry. Single mother, I think you mean thirsty. Single mother, 30s, excess pounds. She has a lot of options. She can pick a decent looking guy in a new German car. She's not experiencing consequences of her choices. I think people see that, but Nels, just what did you just ask? Didn't you just a minute ago? Was it you? Oh, Ritsu, I'm sorry. It was Good Orphan said the same thing. Okay. Well, what is it, man? Are they happy and loving every minute of it? And they're 30 something years old and they jump in a new sports car, or are they all depressed on antidepressants and SSRIs or whatever? What is it, man? Tell me where we're going with this. Are they all like this, or are they all like this? Are they all like, hey, man, I'll just spread my legs and I'm happy as can be. No consequences for me. Oh, but then what happens? Oh, look, all these girls are on antidepressants. They're all drinking box wine. They're all sucking down Ben and Jerry's and have like 10 cats. Well, what is it? Are they living the good life, or are they not? Are they living with cats? Don't stop freaking, it's binary extremes, man. Binary extremes. Are they all like this? They're all like this? No, they're not. Can they for a while? Sure, maybe they can. But remember, it's like the same reason why I say hypergamy is not a straitjacket. Oh, she's gonna find somebody else if it's up. I'm not. Giga Chad's gonna walk in and take my wife. No, because Giga Chad doesn't care about. He don't want your wife. Guess what? Hypergamy defeated, because he's not if he wanted to, sure, but he doesn't. And she's not even going to try because she knows she'll never get Giga Chad. Okay. That's what I mean. Variables. Her SMV decays, man. It's perishable. Things change, man. She goes, do you think a 50-year-old woman in menopause is going to be as sexually viable as when she was 30? No, she's not. Okay. Because there's variables, there's circumstances, time happens, life happens. Yeah. Does she want to? Sure. Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't. I don't know. We'll depend on how she gets into perimenopausal, menopausal, or postmenopausal, right? I've seen 50-year-old girls who like want to do porn or something like that. Oh, I'm going to be a mommy porn thing. Okay. Well, all right. Maybe that's something, but that ain't, it's a bell curve, man. The girl, like I saw, what was it? Just a Gillian Anderson. Like there's some picture of her and she was like, she had her like a midriff on and little, nips going on. And she looked pretty good for 50. She's my age, man. She's 52 years old. And I was like, I might hit that. But, it's Gillian Anderson. All right. It seems like, at least from the photo as I saw, she looked doable. Maybe, if you're into that, if you're into the older, the only reason I like her is because I used to watch, X-Files all the time. It's all right. She's always been all right. I wouldn't say she's like a raging beauty, but she's sexy, in a way, I guess. She's like, Gillian Anderson, she has nerd sexy. That's what she has. But seriously, dude, single mother, 30, excess pounds, but she could still get laid. She has lots of options, man. All she has to do is spread her legs. Is she on, well, you're giving me this nebulous example of some girl who's like 30 something years old. She still has options. Those guys are just thirsty. They'll bang anything. Yeah, they will. That says more about the guys than it does about the girls, really. Well, she has options. Yeah, she has options because you guys are desperate dudes paying $39 for a jar of pee. I'm sure she does. Does she want to get with those guys? That's the other. I think a lot of guys use that. They'll say, and I've heard guys try to counter this. They'll say, well, guys always say that, she can't get with the guys who are equality. Well, that doesn't matter, because you know why that pisses off guys is because they don't have the same selectivity. They don't have the same options. So guys feel powerless when they're younger, when they see like Belle Delphine and she's like, hey, push her boobs up and look like an anime character or whatever. And that gets these guys off and they like that look and that fetish or whatever that is, like that little, what I call it was neoteny, right? Neoteny. Hope I'm saying that right. I gotta get a pronunciation of neoteny. Those guys are powerless. 18 to 24, you're not getting laid, you're powerless. You feel powerless. Why? I answered how many times, how many people asked me about pornography today? You're powerless. How do I feel? How do I feel good? Oh, I can go get off to watching somebody else bang somebody else. Oh, all women have options. No, you think that they will have power forever. And you will never have any power. You will have never, and remember, power is not controlling other people. I'll give you my definition of power. Power is the amount of control you have over your own life. It is the power you have over the direction of your life. What are you going to do with your life? Where am I going to go with this? What am I going to do with this? And have actual exercisable, actionable power to do those things. Most men are powerless. Most men are necessitous by order of degree. And never in the history of humanity have men been as disempowered as they are right now. Women will say, oh, it's patriarchy. No, men have been disenfranchised, disempowered. There is no patriarchy. Gynocracy, gynocentrism replaced patriarchy back in the mid-'80s, right? At least that's where it began. But men have not had anything like patriarchy in a long time. Maybe that there's men at the very top, and then there's the rest of the guys, and then there's the guys at the very bottom. And so what do women think? They go, oh, the guy at the top, he's controlling, he's pulling all the strings. Man, patriarchy. No. Women have far more power than men do. Like by and large, like in that big pyramid, in the rest of that pyramid, that's usually women right there. Women control wealth like way more wealth than men do. We would say, well, we're not earning as much. Okay, yeah, but you're controlling 90% of the wealth that is generated. So what does that say about your level of control and your level of power? So when men see that, when women say, well, a 30-year-old girl, she's fat and she's still getting laid and I'm not. I have no control over my reproductive problem. How do I do it, Rollo? They're going to be powerful forever. She's going to be 40 and doing the same thing, and I'm going to be jerking off the Belle Delphine. Well, you will be with that attitude. You will be if you don't find some way to empower yourself, change your mind about yourself. But again, remember, what is it, dude? Is it she's on SSRIs and depressed and sucking down box wine, or is it she's super empowered because she has a cooter? Okay. Rinaldi says, what are some of the practical ways to reestablish frame if you are married? Good one. Finally. I have the tendency of displaying affection too much, and thanks to you, I started to realize this plays against me. It does. But here's the thing is if your like natural state of being, or your wife is used to you being overly affectionate or overly intimate or overly like fawning and petting, pawing on her, something like that, and you immediately stop, she's going to go, oh, what's wrong with the kid? What's wrong with the boy? And it seems like you're like, I'm not going to have anything to do with you if you don't do it. Like you're going to seem like you're pouty. You're going to seem like you're like a petulant child. You can't do it just like that. It has to be something progressive. And also, usually, if you really want to change your wife's attitude, you want to reestablish frame. First of all, I'm going to refer you to 4 essays I've written. They're called the Reconstruction. Look at the Reconstruction ones. And particularly, you're already married, so that's going to work for you because that's exactly why I wrote it. It's for guys like you. So look at the Reconstruction. That's also you'll find that in book 3 as well, in Positive Masculinity. Second of all, when you initiate change, when your plan is to sort of recapture the frame, to have her defer to you rather than you defer to her, you have to do it incrementally. You can't do it, like I said, just instantly like that. When you are going from beta to alpha rather than alpha, like it's easy to go from alpha to beta, right? All you got to do is just, be the way you've been doing, right? But when a woman's predominant understanding of your personality is, oh, he's a beta, he's this way, changing it changing her opinion of you, and not just like her cognitive opinion. You can say, I'm going to be alpha now. She'll go, okay, sounds good. She can cognitively say that, but her psychology, like her hindbrain is never going to accept that until it starts accepting your behaviors. That's why I say demonstrate, do not explicate. The moment you start saying, I'm going to be more of a man around here. Hey, there's a new sheriff in town. What we have here is a complete lack of respect for the law. When that's a Buford T. Justice, when that's your attitude, and women pick up on that, that seems contrived, and you will never be seen as genuine. It has to be something that's incremental, and you have to get to it by like order of degree. It's not going to happen overnight. So bear that in mind when you read my stuff. Great, read the reconstruction. Great, but understand that you can't go from 0 to 60 and change a woman's mind about you in an instant. Keep that in mind. Zen Long, I finally got to you. Okay, don't give me any more. I got to close out today. My dog's already looking at me funny. Ed just decided to come in here. Zen Long says, dating non-exclusive and have 3 plates, but still feel jealous. Is this a bad thing? No. I want to bang the world and not share any evolutionary psychology behind this. Yes, because you want to see your, here's Ned. Say hi, Ned. You want to see your genetics be transferred into perpetuity. Jealousy is part of your evolved mental firmware, particularly as a guy, because you're interested in your own paternity. You're interested in, like, your ancestors were jealous. And they reproduced successfully because they had that jealousy. They had that understanding that if they were mate guarding, if they were more on their toes, it meant that their genes were going to be transferred to the next generation. So there's nothing wrong with being jealous. It's just use it. If that jealousy, come over here for. Here's Ned. Say hi, Ned. Ned wants to be on camera today. What? Yeah, I know. Okay. Ned's telling me it's time to go, so I have to go. But anyways, I would say this: look at my work on the war on paternity, and you'll see why jealousy is not a bad thing. Sam Whiskey, hey Rollo, do women self-deprecate just like men? They can, just not many of them do. In fact, I would be very, very wary of women who do self-deprecate. Alpha Mailed says, what is the best way to debunk MGTOW? I don't think you should debunk MGTOW, to be honest with you. I think MGTOW gets a lot right. Their analysis is correct. There's nothing really to debunk except for the outcome. And really, that's just a choice. That's a lifestyle choice. That's MGTOW is not a big enigmatic, special thing. It's just basically red pill, except for what they do with it. Okay, we have all this data. We have all this stuff. What are we going to do with it? Red pill says, okay, here's how you can live a better life. Here's how you can get laid. Here's how you can live with women. Here's how you can form a family. Here's how you can do all these great things, because now we have an accurate predictive framework in which that we can live better lives. There's more opportunity in the red pill than there's in the blue pill. MGTOW says, no, it'll never get better. I'm worthless. It's worthless. I'm never going to be anything more than well, I shouldn't say MGTOW's like that. That's really black pill. But like the problem with MGTOW is there's no definitive definition of what MGTOW is. Repeal the 19th. That's never going to work. Okay. Think of something else. Like I said, MGTOW's they get the diagnosis right. They just don't think that they get the prescription right. So again, MGTOW is a lifestyle. It's not a philosophy. It's not even a data set, really. Red pill's the data set. MGTOW borrows everything from the red pill, and I can show it to you. I can show you exactly where the red pill started. 2004, 2002. I can show you the day that I used red pill as a term from 2000. I think it was 2004 back on SoSwap. I actually went back and I looked at those old posts to see where the first time I used that. And the first time I used the term red pill or matrix was in 2004 on SoSwap. MGTOW has been a thing for a little while, but it used to be called Forever Alone. It used to be called True Force Loneliness, and now it's morphed into men going their own way. Okay, fine. It really kind of came out of the MRA thing, because there's guys who just sort of like, I don't care anymore. I don't want to deal with it. I'm not gonna make women the benchmark or the measurement of my life, the metric of my life. Good. Sounds a lot like mental point of origin. Red pill. Sorry. What are you going to use it for? What are you going to do with it? Well, you can criticize MGTOW for that all you want, but it's a lifestyle choice. It's what they want to do. Like, there's no definite, like I said, there's no definitive, other than the fact that you don't use women as the metric for your life. And even that's not uniquely MGTOW. That's something that the Red Pill's been talking about since at least 2002, as far as I know, 2004. I think I gotta go back in time. I gotta go back to So Suave and see where I used the term mental point of origin first. Alpha Male. Okay, that's it. Warrior Race says, Rollo, really appreciate your work, but what will it take to just get it and kill the beta indefinitely? Oh, it's going to be this magic formula that I have. You should buy this magic jar potion of magicness that will make it all better for you. It's a process, my friend. I'm some moments I mess up and blow it with high SMV women. You're going to blow it. So what? Move on, learn from that and learn from your mistakes and don't let, like, again, why is that so earth shattering for you? Just get it and kill the beta. How do I just get it and kill the beta? Well, you practice, you learn. It's a process. I think that's what gets guys, is they think that game or PUA, old PUA, or even old school red pill stuff, they think that if all I gotta do is just read this book, all I gotta do is just do these techniques, or this, I gotta sarge this way, I gotta do that, I gotta just spam approaches, I gotta do this, there's no cheat codes, man. You don't go from being a white belt to a black belt and you say, oh, well, you're in a week, you're a black belt. Jump in the ring there. You're going to get your ass kicked. You have to go through the process. It's learning. Read Robert Greene's Mastery. That's what guys, where guys are today? They think that they can just go online, read a few things, and they've got mastery of it. Now, you know how long it takes to, what was it Robert Greene was saying? It's 10,000 hours. If you want mastery is 10,000 hours of learning a skill, a trade, or whatever it is, and you're a master. A master's degree, you spent 10,000 hours. Are you a master at being red pill? Are you a master with women now? How many hours have you spent? Are you persistent at it? What are you doing? That it's impossible for me to tell you how to do that, but I can tell you this: is it doesn't happen overnight. I wish it did. I wish it did. Atham Alcuda gave me a sticker for $2. Thank you. I like stickers. I don't know what they are all about. I like them. Glenn Lawrence, how did you? Hey, Rollo, okay, I got you, Glenn. Let's see. I got Matt Hart, or I got Doug here, says, no question. Just want to say thank you for encouraging anyone listening to this. Yeah, thank you, Rollo, for a Rule Zero group. Thank you. Okay. And Alex Schmidt, in the technological future where transhumans become the norm, how will that affect the global sexual marketplace? My movie announcer. I should have Sam Bada read that one. In the technological future, where transhumanism becomes the norm. Well, I would argue that transhumanism will become the norm. Because you're going to see people still trying to regress back to, people will say, well, I'm going to be transhuman. I'm going to have this little transhuman, as far as I can think of, is like you're going to be engineered a certain way. Like there's like, what is it, the CRISPR thing in China right now? Like we're gonna have designer human beings. Maybe that'll be a thing. Maybe you'll have implants. Maybe you'll be above humans. But the problem is that even if you found some way to have a custom baby, even if you had like implants or whatever, guess what? Your raw material is still the same raw material that evolved 100,000 years ago. You have the same impulses. You have the same. You know what would be great? How awesome would it be if we could find? Oh, how great would it be, Rollo, if we could just find a pill that would just remove our libido? Yeah, you'd be a drone. You'd be a guy who's just like, you'd be a delta male, right? You'd be just like, okay, I'm just gonna go to work and just come back and I'll just die. It's just serving another it'll be like the Eloy and the what was it? The Morlocks, right? Well, some will live above ground and some will live below ground. We're getting at the end of the show here. Simple Fly says some female therapists are aware of the red pill shift when they are good at their work. Please shop around. Nope. Don't get a woman. Sorry. Jack Barber says, thanks for another great show. You are welcome. Question, does a red pill and alpha mindset need an unplugged social circle? Good luck finding it. It'd be great if you could, but it doesn't need it. Or strive to form one. Create a tribe. That's the first. If you saw what I was talking about on Rule Zero with the guys who were calling in for like advice yesterday, the first thing I asked them, notice that when, and I'm going to do this, by the way, when I do the private community on my Patreon, please refer to the very beginning of this very long 3-hour stream. I will be, I usually ask the same questions. How old are you? When did you first get laid? Are you in a relationship? How did you do that? And then the other one I'll say is, how do you have any friends? I asked this of every guy that came on the show on Rule Zero. I said, do you have a tribe? No, you're all at home. That one guy, I forget the guy's name. The guy who was the Israeli guy, he had a Hebrew name. Is that what it was? He had a Middle Eastern name. I forget the guy's name right now. And I asked Thomas the same thing. I said exactly the same thing. You know why? Because 90% of you guys have no tribe. And I mean that in the realest sense I can put that in. You have no tribe. You need a tribe. You need dudes that you hang out with who share a common interest. And it's not just getting chicks, okay? Maybe you like to fish. Maybe you like to snowmobile. Maybe you like to do all the cool things that Rollo Tomassi likes to do. Maybe you have greyhounds. Maybe you like to draw and paint. And maybe you like to do audio. And maybe you like to do this. And maybe you like to do that. Great. Awesome. You know what? When you're doing that and you get together with other guy, you're in a band? Congratulations, you're in a tribe. Are you going to work to do whatever you're doing? Congratulations, you're in a tribe. Do you go to church? Congratulations, there's your tribe. You probably have more tribes than you realize that you do. And if you don't, I feel bad for you. Like that guy, the Israeli guy, I don't have any friends. I sit indoors and just do nothing all day. Well, that's is that a problem? Yeah, dude, that's a problem. You're a social animal. You need that. Absolutely. Does it always have to be other red pill guys? No. The guys in my band, in my tribe are, maybe 2 of them are. They know who they are. But yeah, I mean, you need a tribe. You need that. So anyways, all right. I have gone way over. This has been a really long one. I was expecting it to be a really short one, but you guys kept hammering me with supers. So that was good. Okay. Last but not least, again, the convention is moving to a digital online format. If you're cool with that, great. You're already in. If you're not, hit me up on Patreon and let me know what the situation is. Or you can email me. You can give me a private message on Patreon if you hold one of the tickets right now. Like I said before, we're moving it to an online thing. We're still going to have one in spring of 2021, but like I said, EDC, Electric Daisy Carnival, canceled. E3 or E2, E3, G3 canceled, E3 canceled. Vegas is in a bad spot right now. They've lost $71 billion in tourist dollars this year. And the losing G3, was it G3? G3 is the gaming one. E3 is the electronics, consumer electronics. That was a huge blow to Las Vegas revenue right now. So there's that, the travel bans, COVID. I expect all of this will be gone on November 5th. It will all magically disappear on November 5th, right? Either we'll be that or we'll be in a civil war state, right? But once things sort of normalize and settle out, we're going to still have the live event in Vegas. It's just like, I can't make this go. I told the guys this, I said, I can't not deliver something to you guys. So we're going to do the online conference. We're going to do, and we're going to give you as much value for it as we possibly can. Yes, there will be extra tickets to it. We're going to limit the amount. I don't know exactly how many dudes we're limiting it to. It might be something like 300 or 400. I don't know what we decided just yet. It will be limited. If you're already part of the original 100 who are going to be coming to the live event, you're already in. If you purchase tickets through somebody else, such as Rich, Cooper, or Ryan, or any of the other guys, you'll have to talk to them about it, okay? But if you're talking to me, then we can work something out. Anyways, so that's that. And then the other thing is Wednesday show, I am probably going to, I think I'm going to take it private this year. I'm going to take it private on Wednesday. On Patreon. So if you're not a Patreon follower, the minimum is just $5. If you want to be in the group counseling thing, and I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about that, then look me up, and you will see a new tier on TIER on Patreon, and that will be the public counseling kind of thing. I'm going to limit that attendance as well. So once that shows up, let me know if that's something you want to get into. Hopefully it is. I'm still doing private counseling too, but if you're good with group counseling, that might be the way to go. So, all right, guys, thank you very much, and I will see you on Wednesday on Patreon.